Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 4Player Podcast. My name is Nick Henderson. I am a writer and co-founder over at 4Player Network. If this is your first time listening, please look for us on iTunes and subscribe. Doing so will keep you up to date with not only this podcast, but our sister shows Cocktail Time and Audible Impressions as well. If you haven't already, swing by the website at 4playernetwork.com and join our gaming community by signing up for a free account. And last but not least, please don't forget to tune in every night over at 4pp.tv to watch us broadcast games, record podcasts, and interact with the community. But enough about that, it's time to talk about video games. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to 4Player Podcast. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined today to my left.
What
I'll get to it. I'll get to it, Nolan. Don't you worry. Don't you panic. There's no written rule about what order you have to say this shit in. Sometimes I just like to wing it. Christopher Guthridge is joining me to my left.
What's going on?
Nolan Hedstrom interrupting me in my intro.
Yep, that's me.
And Brad Simons to my right. Look at your mic. And speak.
Look at it.
Speak.
Eye contact.
I could say another Joseph thing at the start of this episode.
No, don't. Oh no, please don't derail the spot. I had to put a warning on last episode saying, I am so sorry for the conversation that started on the last show. If you don't know what we're talking about, please go download episode 297.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah, don't...
Oh, I wanna know what he said.
Does anybody want any Carmex for their mouth?
No.
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Nolan. This is episode 200.
What an attention whore. He's telling me to share what he said.
Don't do it.
Joseph is
going to.
a whore in many ways.
Let me finish my intro, you ungrateful bitches.
We will not be held hostage.
I bet you, through the theory of deduction, that since last week's episode was 297...
That you'd think this week's episode is 298, but in fact it is 299.
Is deduction only a theory?
No.
He's saying you can deduce.
But there is a theory of deduction.
Is there?
Yes.
All right, nerds. Okay. This is episode 298. It's November... Oh, my God. It is not November anymore. It is December 11th, 2012. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk...
Guess what tomorrow is?
December... It's December. It's 12/12/12.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, is that what you're going to point out?
12/21/12 is supposed to be the end of the world.
Yeah,
I know, but tomorrow is...
12/12/12.
It's like the last sequential date that any of us will ever see.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is that
Or not
day going to be
sequential,
like?
but repeating.
Is that going to be a weird day?
What?
The 21st, where everyone...
No.
What if the world ends tomorrow?
What if it ends before the 21st? We're just like, well, fuck.
We just missed it. It was like they had it pretty accurately
On the 21st,
9
I'm doing a
days.
Voyage of the Mimi Mayan marathon. Did you ever watch Voyage of the Mimi?
Yes, I did, actually. Hey, but didn't you say you were going to turn off the feed?
I will in a second. I'm just checking it.
Just checking it.
Checking it out.
All right.
Did the Voyage of the Mimi always go to the Yucatan Peninsula, or was that only the one in the season I saw?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no.
The Voyage of the Mimi, guys.
What is that?
It's a show I watched in when I was in school.
Kindergarten.
So before
Ben
I was born.
Affleck was in it as a little
Did he direct
child.
it? Did he direct it?
He was a little kid.
Well, then I have no interest in it.
Yeah, I've never heard of this. Ben Affleck as a little kid taking voyages to the Yucatan Peninsula.
Because they explored Mayan culture, at least in the season I saw.
Oh my God, was Ben Affleck really in that? That's weird.
That's cute.
Anyways, speaking of the Yucatan Peninsula, we're going to talk about Far Cry 3 today. But first, I want to get everything else kind of out of the way because we have a lot to say about Far Cry. We've all been playing it upwards of a lot of hours. I don't know.
I would say a combined total of probably close to 1 million.
Hours?
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable.
That sounds accurate, Nolan.
Yeah.
Thank you. But first, let's get some of the other stuff out of the way. Nolan, would you like to start with your? Did you want to say something about Assassin's Creed 3? You did write your post today about the multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to say something about that?
I can say something about it.
Just multiplayer?
Particular problem. Yeah.
So I picked up Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer this weekend because they were doing extra XP, 50% extra. And so I never really got too high in the other games, and I wanted to, get higher in my ranks and stuff because
I wanted to get
Get high.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm pretty good at the game. I would like to think, but my levels have never reflected that. And so I was like, I'll play this weekend. So I'm playing, and I played a lot of Wolfpack because I really enjoy Wolfpack. And then I was like, you know what? My favorite mode in the game is Assassinate. Let me jump on there and play some Assassinate. To my knowledge, I learned that some assholes have started using this strategy in the game, which breaks it.
I believe we dubbed them jackasses.
I started calling them jackasses. I was going to call them something else, but it was a little
because
too
they jacked into the animus.
Exactly.
Oh.
And so, actually, when I had my multiplayer event a couple of weeks ago, or a little over a month ago, whenever it was,
yes,
one person was using the strategy, and I was like, I see the idea behind why they're doing it. I don't appreciate it. And it was frustrating because on that time, you can go and look on the feed, I don't know. It seemed like most people, the highest in their game, had around 4,000 points at the end of the level, and this person had 12,000. It's a pretty big difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, so what the strategy is they use, for their two abilities, they use smoke bombs and they use tripwire bombs. For their ranged weapon, they use throwing knives, and I guess those are the big ones. And so what they do is, instead of being incognito, because Assassinate, you choose your target. When someone's acting out of the ordinary, you're like, I think that's, a player. I'm going to kill him. And so instead of acting incognito like I normally do, they run around like fucking assholes on the rooftops, jumping up and down, doing all this shit. And you're like, why are they doing this? It just draws attention to them. Let me go kill them. And when you walk up to kill them, boom, a tripwire goes off that you didn't know was there, and they kill you. Because you can't normally...
Or smoke bomb.
Well, yeah, so you can't... If someone's coming after you, you can't kill them because they're your pursuer. You can only stun them or get an honorable death. But if they use like a smoke bomb or tripwire or something on you, it kind of makes you not be able to do anything for a second, and then they can stun you. And once they stun you, they're no longer your target. So now you can
Which
target
in theory
them.
is so that you can run away.
Exactly. Well, no, I mean, in Assassinate, I had done it a couple of times where, I caught you. I have the upper hand now. But yeah, and so the thing is, that's all people do now. I swear to God, like 5 people were doing it in every single match I played, and that's all they would do. And it got to the point where I couldn't get any kills because everyone was using this strategy where I'm going to bait you in and use this ability. Like, you're like, oh, well, they have to run out of tripwires and smoke bombs eventually, but they also, throwing knives, do the same thing. So all they do, their entire goal is to bait you into coming up to them so they can...
But how are they getting all their points?
Because once they use that attack on you, if they smoke bomb or tripwire or knives, you're stunned for a few seconds, meaning they target you, which means their approach meter starts increasing, which increases the points they get, and they can get a focus kill, which increases the points they get. So they can get, upwards of like 800 points on a kill.
A simple... kill they didn't really put much effort into.
Yeah,
it's like the good thing about like a game like Spy Party, which we do talk about a lot when comparing to this game, is that because the other player is sniping you through a window, like you don't have an option like you can't really exploit the sniper. It's purely about you have to be incognito, otherwise the sniper has the advantage.
I talk about that in my article, and that's one of the things if you listen to me any single time I played Assassin's Creed on the feed or whatever, I always end up bringing that up because I wish it was like that. I know that's how they wanted the game to be played, but they had to put the running in there because, your target spotted you, now you have to chase them, or, now you can run away, so they couldn't not have running.
There would also be something really just annoying about the ability to, like, if you were forced to kind of walk everywhere or be, that running has to be there to make it kind of feel... Mm-hmm.
But I almost think they could do something to where if you start running and you don't have a target, like, it debilitates you? Is that a word?
I actually replaced that word in an article with another word, and I forgot that word. But it worked.
Anyway.
Sorry. You know what we mean.
I don't think that aspect of the game should be removed. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff that fits in with the mindset of what they had in mind when they were creating that game that the running and the climbing let you do. I mean, you can, there have been plenty of times where I have or somebody... pursuing me has, lured me around a corner and then jumped up on top of the corner to get an aerial kill, and I think in that context,
I understand.
That's warranted. I think that's deserved. And I also, obviously smoke bombs have been used in an offensive capacity before.
Oh,
not
no, yeah.
so
I'm not arguing, and I talk about that in my article. I have used smoke bombs. I use them all the time, and I use them, so I don't get hurt. But I'm not using them in the mindset that, I'm going to trick you. I'm not using it in a...
You're not, like, griefing people.
Exactly. I'm not...
I think any strategy that involves doing the same thing over and over in a game kind of defeats the purpose of playing.
Yeah, that's all. They're just doing the same thing over. So my strategy in any Assassin's Creed game has always been I like use poison because it gets you a lot of points. It's subtle. You don't.
It's like tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
You know those people that immediately adopt the strategy of take the two opposite corners so that they're fucked either way.
Yeah,
you do that 2 or 3 times and then you eventually all right, I don't want to play this
Well, it just
anymore.
becomes a stalemate. Like I've played 30 games of tic-tac-toe in a row before, and each time it's a stalemate because the same thing happens.
Exactly.
Once you know the strategy is how it is.
There are ways, however, to deal with them at a distance. I mean, like if you have the pistol and you see someone, you can shoot them. I know it doesn't.
And so
it only gives you 100 points.
But yeah, that's the thing. I get 100 points, and then that's it. And then someone else comes up behind me and does it to me.
It's still going to take them just as long to regain those abilities that they use trying to lure you in as you waiting for the pistol to reload too.
Play rounds when everyone's doing it. It doesn't matter. And so the thing is, they use reduced cooldown as one of their perks probably, so it doesn't take as long for it to cool down. And they have 3 different abilities they can use to lure people in. And so while they're using the second one, the first one's recharging, and then they can use the third one, and that one's recharging. And they probably have another cooldown that resets your perks after you get so many kills and stuff like that. So
but I'm not saying that this wouldn't be incredibly annoying to face. I'm sure it sucks, but there has to be some kind of strategy for dealing with this, right?
What I'd recommend actually, now that you're bringing that up, go read the article that I want to say it was Frank that wrote it on the site about League of Legends, talking about their justice system they've kind of put in place in the game, and how players basically, if someone offends other players in the map, they can vote to have them
kicked.
Not kicked, but actually put before. They actually go before a judge. Like the developers of the game have
moderators
that will set up, and they actually hear the case and they pass judgment. And if you're found guilty of what you're being accused of, you're not banned, but you're punished in certain ways. And the people that I guess the article describes it a lot better than I could, but it was a really interesting take that I think could be applied to a lot of online games that would actually do a really interesting way of discouraging this kind of exploitation.
Yeah,
right off the bat, Assassin's Creed multiplayer is one of my favorite multiplayer experiences ever. As far as online goes, this is definitely one of my top 5.
It's just the unfortunate side effect is that it's easy to exploit.
But that's what I'm saying. Is it just that it's such a peculiar game that you have to have these kind of external checks and balances to keep the game playable? Is there not an in-game solution to this?
What would there be? Not having those abilities? There's nothing you can use. Like you were saying, the only way I can counteract them is by doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Using that, and I don't want to use that strategy because that is stupid. That's not how this game should be played. Yeah. I'm not a bad player at this game.
No.
We had a community night. There was one game where I had 20 kills and no deaths.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad player. When I was playing on Sunday, there were rounds where I had 1 kill. 10 minutes, 1 kill. I could not get a single fucking kill in because everyone was using this strategy.
It's frustrating, and if you boil it down to its most base conceptual level when they were coming up with this, I feel like when you think about it, you have to be like, this is a great idea, but you know that the quality of this experience is going to totally rely on the way
players.
It's people behaving themselves, not being idiots, and not why are they exploiting this thing? Oh, so I can become prestige and get levels, and what for?
It is the internet, which is unfortunate.
If it's there, if it's possible, people are going to.
I realize that, and the problem is, it's very easy to replicate. Once you see someone else doing it, you start doing it, and everyone else starts doing it.
And it spreads like a fucking virus.
Well, luckily, this should be pretty well contained to just assassinate, though. That kind of strategy wouldn't work in Wanted.
No, and that's the problem, though, because that's my favorite mode.
I know, and it's a great mode.
In Wanted, you can run around and do whatever the fuck you want because
within reason.
Within reason, but in Wanted, It's because you're assigned a target. You know who you're after. You know how many people are after you.
You're not watching everybody.
Exactly. In Assassinate, you were taking in your entire surroundings. Right. You know your target's right there, but you know someone's up behind you too. So you have to debate whether you should, maybe I should take him out, or maybe I can hide right here, let the second guy come in and take out the first guy, and then take out the second guy, get more points for it, and not get killed. There's a lot more involved, and I like it so much more.
And with that said, I'd say it's a great point. I would actually say if you're interested in reading more about it, go check out the article. It was posted this afternoon by Nolan on the site at 4playernetwork.com. But now we're going to move on.
Assassin's Creed single player has got issues. I kind of wish someone just let you do all those awesome things, but with a lot more freedom and without all the bullshit that comes along with Assassin's Creed.
I finally just finished the single player, by the way.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I really like the Desmond.
That's not what I was trying to get at.
I know.
I don't talk about Assassin's Creed.
I'm sorry. Okay.
We were not going to talk. I just wanted to know what he thought. He finished it.
I like the Connor ending. I thought his ending was really cool.
I agree with that.
Especially the way they resolved his whole personal dilemma with Charles Lee.
Yes.
Really enjoyed that.
Yep.
Desmond ending.
Not so much.
Still processing that, and I want to like it, but for some reason, it really kind of did have that whole Mass Effect 3 going on, where they're just like, oh hey, by the way, ton of bricks, right on top of your head.
That's very true. That's cool. I'm glad you finished it. So let's talk just real briefly about a few of the other small games we played this week. Brad, you started playing some Chivalry. You want to talk a little bit about that? We talked about it last week, so I don't go into crazy detail. But
last week I had the first of many multiplayer nights, and I decided to focus on 2 games, and I played like a long time. I played several hours of each game. First was PlanetSide 2.
Yeah. Conceptually, what is PlanetSide 2?
Okay, so it's a free to play FPS MMO, kind of like a massively multiplayer online.
Is this the one that's tied
FPS.
to Dust?
No.
What is tied to Dust?
Dust is tied to Eve.
Oh, okay.
PlanetSide was an MMO, like a pay to play MMO, like from back in the day.
Okay.
Well, this one is the follow up, and it's a sequel. I mean, it's a free to play one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the PlanetSide thing. So imagine a multiplayer shooter like Halo or something, with vehicles and stuff like that and objectives. But instead of 8 versus 8 or whatever, it's like hundreds versus hundreds. Like some crazy number like that.
That's crazy.
I don't actually know what the server continent is. I played for 5 hours straight. I was just bouncing around on the front lines of one continent. And there's 3 continents.
Whoa!
It's huge. It's huge.
So do you feel like you're constantly in a war zone?
Well, no. That's exactly what makes this game different than any other fucking shooter I've played out there. Is a sense of scope and scale. This continent, it's like a Skyrim size. It's like a Skyrim sized continent. It's not like a fucking Halo map or a Call of Duty map. Right. It's like a fucking landscape.
Up to 2,000 players per continent.
Damn.
It's like a landscape, and it's all fucking land grab. You're trying to take over the continent, and there's 2 other factions, warring.
How can it keep up with that much data? You're essentially affecting the environment.
I don't know. It's fucking voodoo. But let me explain to you why this is so cool, or explain a scenario. Is I get on with a group of, I don't know, I'm probably 10 dudes that I know from getting people into the game, like people who are familiar with us. Mm-hmm. We're trying to find a place to go. Okay, well, there's this huge front line. There's 2 other factions battling on this continent. So we just try to drop into where the action is, right? And the game does a really good job of relaying information as to what's going on in the continent. You see the different the colors of factions, how they're moving in and grabbing areas in the continent. And the idea is you want to either drop into the front line into a heavily contested area because you don't want to lose it, or maybe try to sneak into their territory and grab back a piece of land. It's like a giant territories game. To take back a piece of land that it might not be heavily guarded or guarded at all because they moved on to another front.
So how do you take back the land?
Well, it's like territories, except the territories are gigantic. It might be, way up on that mountain is a castle, or this giant futuristic looking castle. Let's move on that location and via territories, like maybe 3 different points, and it capture those, and all of a sudden it's your like hex, your territory, because there's like a map that gives you a lot of data as far as like your influence and stuff on the map, and you could do it, and all that's like spawn points, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So if the army if their army or whatever invades, or like a large part of it invades on like a territory that you gain, you can still spawn there while they have to either try to capture a spawn point, or if they die, they're going back into like a previous territory that's close by, and sort of moving back in to try to like take it. You have the advantage when it's still your land or whatever. So you what you might do, or what we would try to do, is like try to sneak behind the front lines and cut off the area that they had in between, like that they're moving from, basically, to kill their spawn points.
Their spawn point.
Yeah, to set them back even further. And there's like this really great like war narrative to what's going on in battle, and because there's so many people, you could just like get a group of guys together and say, hey, let's move on. Let's do something way on the other side of the map, to either throw them off or move on the other faction, or just to get something done, because it's like chaos over here.
Yeah.
And what's cool is like this just the scope and the scale is insane. So like when you get into a huge fight, and it's like, okay, we've taken this castle, and you're just sort of standing around. Everyone's like spawning vehicles and like tanks and flying vehicles and like flying transport. And when you take a land, you're just you're looking at the map, you're trying to communicate, and you're like, well, what are we going to do next? And oftentimes you don't even have to it's like a war. So like you look at the map, and you're like, okay, well, down south is this lab. We're going to take this lab. And because you've taken, this castle or whatever, and they can't spawn over there anymore, like, okay, well, let's move to this lab. So what happens is you have like 100 dudes all in their vehicles and tanks, and some of them just running, and you're just moving across the land, like a fucking like an army, like a battalion. Yeah. It is crazy. Like, I've never seen anything like that in a shooter before.
So how does the actual like shooting feel?
Well, good. Okay. Good.
I like good.
Yeah. So this entire continent, is it seamless? Like,
it's seamless.
You can end to end.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Imagine if it was like Skyrim,
right,
but all those different like towns or villages or whatever were like capture points that you would contested capture points that you want to move on to grab more like territory. It might even be bigger than something like Skyrim or something like a continent.
But these different locations that you're capturing, like you were talking about the laboratory and the castle and all that stuff, do they give you specific bonuses to your faction for having that, or is it merely just another?
Well, you can spawn there. There's so much to this game that I don't know how much I was picking up outside of the wider scope, but I know at the very least you can it gives you a place to spawn. It's like your territory.
I mean, it's another safe area where you can.
It's another safe area, and when you own the area, you can go up to these terminals and like change classes, spawn vehicles, spawn tanks and flying vehicles and stuff.
What kind of classes are there? Just the generic, like
I didn't spend too much time in there, but I was spent the basic light assault class, which has a jetpack, which is cool for getting around, because like the scale of this stuff is insane. It's like it's gigantic and it's crazy.
It's insane. It's gigantic.
Yeah, it's
pretty sure you've said that before. But it's insane.
So like a jetpack, it seems very useful.
Yeah,
like just a nice piece of utility.
But not as much as you'd think.
Because if you're deciding like in Call of Duty, I'm going to get rid of all my armor so I can run fast, it's a little bit different than picking like again that light assault class with a jetpack versus a heavy dude, that walks really slow, but he's like a walking fucking like arsenal. Because when the map and the scale of everything is so large, it's like, well, that guy's not going anywhere unless he hops into an APC or some sort of transport, because he moves around so slow.
Yeah.
Being able to run alongside your fucking battalion as you move across the map is just, it's kind of amazing. It's really cool.
Key to that experience too, I'd say.
And it's fucking free.
It seems like
I'm picturing like a
free to download, free to play,
like a Rocketeer, like the video with all the fucking Rocketeers and like jetpacks, just like an army of jetpacks like flying across the screen.
It looks really great too, because like in a way that Skyrim might not be the most like technically might not look as good as Far Cry 3, but maybe that's not a good example because that's an open world game too. But it might not look as good in Uncharted. But when you look over the landscape, and you're like, wow, I can go anywhere there. That's crazy.
Right.
That's what PlanetSide is like.
It's a good trade-off.
It's visually impressive, just on like pure scope.
And it gets. I'm assuming that creates a good sense of
Scale.
place and scale.
Yeah. Well, it gets to place, but sometimes it's so large that it's like you might be able to see the castle off in the distance, but that's only like 2% of the fucking map.
Would you say it's insane?
Yeah, it's.
So
I had a really positive experience with this, and because it was unlike any multiplayer shooter. I mean, I imagine there's like a lot of like European developed or like Russian developed like war games that are like this, massively multiplayer online. But I never played anything like that, and it was really shocking that I was playing this game for hours and hours and hours, just looking at this map, studying this map, and I sort of took the lead as far as like, hey, let's go here, and I was just clicking around, and I was like, I found the other 2 continents, and I was like, oh my god.
Would something like this be?
I don't even know what the other continents like. Maybe they look different. I don't even know.
Well,
those would obviously be instanced apart, though, right?
They are on the same server, but you could hop to those anytime you want.
But you have to. There's loading.
I mean, it's not like you have to fly across an ocean.
No,
to get there.
that would be cool. But I mean,
that would be cool.
insane.
But it'd be cool the first couple times, and then after that, if it was like a really big ocean, you'd be like, God damn
they
it.
could create naval battles.
Yeah,
you could have fucking naval battles and like ships like firing scuds off from the ocean to those castles and shit.
God, that's crazy.
Different like places that you're trying to capture. They have like different things in them. Again, I haven't fully grasped like what each thing does, but there might be like a barrier that vehicles can't get through. Yeah. So you actually have to try to maybe like send some guys in to try to disable it, so you can like bring all your fucking like tanks and shit in. And if playing something like Halo, it's like, oh, we have a Wraith outside, let's try to get that Wraith in here. That might not mean much, but when it's like, well, we have fucking 12 tanks out here ready to go, so you need to disable that so we can fucking bombard, bring these tanks in. And they have these things called Sunderers, and they're like these APC units, right? But they can also serve as like spawn points too. So they're really valuable to like get a Sunder like into their fucking base, just right up the ass,
forward momentum,
and just have people just start spilling out of it, like spawning into it, and just sort of like rushing them like a Trojan horse kind of thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Maybe Nolan should download this game.
Obviously, like communication. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, go for it. I was just communication is key, but you can break it up into squads, kind of like in Battlefield. Right. So you're communicating with just your squad. I mean,
but the in-game elements for like communicating with other players are really like well.
I think there's crafted. In-game localized audio.
Mm-hmm. So like if you're just talking, anyone who's standing around you can hear you.
I think so, but I mean, I don't know. I was in the squad and I was just sort of talking to these guys the whole time, even though there was like people all over the place, and it's just it's cool. It's really cool.
Apparently, I already have it.
I mean, it's free. It's free to download.
I have so many games on Steam.
The thing is, if your PC can run it, then
way to go, Nolan.
Is it intensive or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty. You could just crank settings down to like have it run really. I mean, the game can look really nice.
It's insane.
And the night stuff looks really cool too.
The what stuff?
Like, because there's like a day-night cycle.
Yeah.
And it's really cool just to see like all these like vehicles and stuff moving around at night, and it's just it's fucking cool. Like when you're moving from like maybe one location to another, oftentimes you're like going through like are you
gonna play this
like ridges or whatever?
Yeah, another multiplayer night.
Like
I definitely want to at least hop on and like,
for sure.
This looks so fucking cool.
You're like moving through like the bottom of like ravines or whatever, like all your guys in a line and like NPCs and stuff. Like they could fucking ambush us. Yeah, like that's crazy. But
sounds really good.
This game looks pretty rad.
It does look good.
I do want to play more of this game because it's crazy.
Let me guess.
You said it was free to play.
Yeah, it's free to download, free to play.
It's not like, I mean,
apparently it doesn't spend money to like unlock different new weapon types and stuff,
right?
But
it's not like
I definitely wasn't
kind of like.
I don't think so. From what I hear,
it doesn't seem
from
like
other people is it's not.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem really like that. I mean, I don't know. I played for hours and I didn't feel compelled at all to.
But you could unlock money. You could unlock everything just by playing the game, right?
But probably, I mean, there's certain things you can like. You can I think, buy a new weapon type, but all the upgrades that you get to those weapon options you get to upgrade, you have to actually earn from just playing the game. Okay. So they'll lock stuff out like that. And I think you can buy like customization stuff to customize your guy and stuff like that. The way he looks.
That sounds so fucking.
That sounds cool. So let's kind of move on. We are running. We're getting pretty close to our break, so we want to talk a lot about Far Cry today. So I'm going to just say, let's go ahead and jump.
Can I say one quick thing about Chivalry?
Yes,
because that's the other thing I also played for hours. That game's really cool too.
Yeah,
it's really fun, but it's very, very like skill based.
Oh, definitely.
And when you go up against somebody who has been playing for a long time, it's
immediately apparent.
Like in shooters, it's like you get the jump on somebody, and
skill level doesn't matter.
Well, it kind of does, but like. The faster a guy dies, the less that matters. When you start getting to Halo, maybe they can still salvage it, or something like Twisted Metal. A good player can, since you last so long, can really, turn the
tides of war,
even if you got the jump on them. But in this game, it's like it's so skill driven. It's like you're playing like fucking Dark Souls, and
oh, definitely.
You get like a skilled player can be like sort of pincered by two different dudes, and he can fucking. And you think, we're going to get him because it's 2-on-1. But if you're going to get somebody who knows what they're doing,
it's not.
Because you could die so quick, but it's all about movement and blocking and stuff. That it's amazing just how like
you can block an attack, which like kind of for like half a second you can't do anything once you get blocked. You can do a kick on them, which will stun them for a second. So you could like literally kick a guy, turn around, slash a guy in the face, turn back, thrust and stab him. And it's insane what this game has to offer. And like you're saying, it is skill based. Like blocking can be effective, but if you're like I said, if you only have a sword, it's hard to block with just a sword unless you have a shield. It's easy to block with a shield. So a skilled player can get around you if you're blocking with just a sword based off movements. And it's a lot to this game.
And there's different types of strikes, and because like there's friendly fire on. If you if you and another dude are sort of about to go up against another guy who's like in sort of a narrow space or whatever, you can use different types of attacks so you don't accidentally hit and kill your friendly dude. Like instead of doing like a wide swing, you want to do like a thrust, so y'all can both get your hits in on this guy without hurting each other. It's very each encounter is very intimate, and it's very.
They spent a lot of time perfecting the melee in this game, and they did a really good job with it. It is well done.
But even on the macro level, like it's just fun. It's just kind of silly fun. Like my favorite map is just like you're on these like hilly plains or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and you're just starting from either end, and when you're playing like team deathmatch, it's just like fucking Braveheart. They're
all running at each
other,
and
all your dudes are just running at each other, holding down the fucking scream button. Okay,
the best part of what you just said,
and you see like a fucking archer off in the distance, and all your guys just start chasing him and screaming as you're trying to run him down, and he's frantically trying to shoot arrows at you, trying to pick you off. It's a really fun game, but it's amazing just. Like how high like that skill ceiling goes, and I was in some one-on-ones with people who had just been playing the game so much longer, and it was just the kind of thing where I had no chance. It was incredible just how little of a chance I had, and that's kind of impressive. It's frustrating because I know I can't devote like a whole shit ton of time to this game, but it felt like a really well-made fighting game.
Yeah. So that game that we just talked about was Chivalry. Medieval War. Mm-hmm. We also talked about it last week, so if you want to hear more about it, maybe go download that. But now we need to move on.
So real quick.
Wait. Before he goes, I just want to say I wish someone could take like sort of the scope and scale of something like PlanetSide 2
and do Chivalry
and do like a medieval setting with like the mechanics of Chivalry.
But with tanks.
Instead of
like
tanks,
Trojan horses.
Instead of fucking tanks, imagine there's like a siege level in Chivalry, but it's not like moving a whole medieval army on a fucking castle off in the distance. That's what I fucking want.
Like
merge the two,
dude. Fucking Game of Thrones. You're coming up with ships and stuff.
Yes.
You're coming from the east with ships, and you're coming with your land battalion from the west.
Yes, but once you get up close, it's that really deep, melee system. That would be great. That'd be great.
That would be really cool.
So real quick, I finished Dishonored finally. Jesus Christ. I won't talk about that really a whole lot.
That's right, you won't.
I did get the high chaos ending, which everyone says isn't as good. But I restarted playing Dragon's Dogma. And holy shit, I'm fucking like back in the deep in that game. Like all day I've just been thinking of all these strategies, things I'm gonna do. And okay, I gotta level up this class so I can get this
Should
ability.
be Mystic
Like,
Knight.
yeah, I know. So I'm switching classes
I came home
now.
from work today, and he was already.
If you
sitting-
level up an assassin first, you get all the solo bonuses. Then it goes perfect if you become Mystic Knight after that.
Yeah.
I came home from work today, and I literally get home about 30 minutes after he does, and then we have to basically almost immediately leave to come here for the show. And I get there, and he's already sitting in the dark in the living room playing Dragon's Dogma.
And so I'm doing all this stuff, and because where I had stopped last time was like kind of the halfway. I don't know, not necessarily halfway point, but as soon as you beat this final boss, and then it goes into this kind of dark area, and there's all new enemies that are more powerful and stuff. And so now I'm fighting these more powerful enemies, and I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to fight the Dragon. Let me look into that. And apparently, I didn't realize. So you can play an offline mode, and you can fight this Dragon, and he has like 7 bars of health or something like that. It's a really powerful dragon. And so, but there's an online one, and for defeating him, you get better drops, a lot of stuff for defeating him. But the problem is, every time he gets defeated, he comes back stronger. And so there's like generation 1, and he started off really not easy, but easier than now.
Isn't this a collective thing, though? Like
Manageable.
Everybody? Okay.
Yeah. And so, so multiple people can be fighting him at once, kind of in their own games, and they can be whittling down his
They're all
health.
whittling down the same health bar.
Yeah, but if they leave or if they die, his health goes back up.
So the health that they whittled away from him goes back?
I don't know if it's all of it, but some of it.
That's weird.
And so right now they're on, I believe, on the Xbox, the 145th generation Dragon, who has like 30-something bars of health. And
What the
it's
fuck?
just like fucking ridiculous. And it's like you can't. I'm level like I think 58 right now. I think I leveled up, and there's no way I could even probably come close to trying to make a scratch on him.
Yeah.
Like if I were to go and fight. And so it just sucks because, like you said, you can have multiple people fighting at once, but it's also like the last hit. Whoever gets that last hit in, they're the one that gets like this ultimate like armor and stuff. And so everyone's
No,
like,
it's a cool
vying to
concept.
be-
They released a trailer dedicated to the Dragon before
Yeah.
the game ever released.
Oh, yeah.
Which it's pretty crazy.
There's like Twitter accounts that like follow the Dragon, like, oh, he's at this much health left, and like some people can jump on and try and finish him off and stuff like that. It's like all this stuff behind it. There's all these strategies. Like I'm an assassin, or that's one of the ones I really like. And as an assassin, you have this ability called invisibility, where you literally turn invisible and nothing can hurt you, but it drains your stamina really fast. So one strategy to defeat the Dragon is just take like 50 like stamina refilling like items, like potions, and just go and turn invisible and just kind of start stabbing him real quick and try and like stay invisible.
Try and do as much damage as you can as fast as possible.
Yeah, but the thing is, you only have 8 minutes to kill him.
Whoa. Okay.
After 8 minutes, he flies away.
Goodbye.
I mean, so 8 minutes from when the first player attacks him.
I don't know. I'd assume maybe. Like I don't know. They all.
Wait, that would make sense because they would be a lot higher than 145th.
Well, if he dies,
But if they don't defeat him, then
if he flies
Yeah.
away, then he just come back as the same.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
And like
what
the
you
thing
did
is, it's not just that he gets stronger. Like there's certain items I was reading about that do more damage, but the problem is if you use those items on him, he'll come back with a higher defense than just normally killing him. So there's all this complicated
So you could just
shit.
be fucking over
Yeah.
anyone else in the future.
And so
who
like
tries to-
yeah.
there. Okay. I am insanely jealous that you've played more Dragon's Dogma because I still haven't started it.
That game
Wait.
has a crazy ending.
Wait, the real ending or the halfway ending?
The halfway ending is crazy.
Yeah.
In the fact that it's not actually the ending, but the real ending's crazy.
So I can do the real ending now. Apparently.
Oh!
Like I'm right there.
Whatever you do,
God damn you guys.
this is just a tip. Whatever you do, befriend someone. Like look into the relationship system. You can establish a relationship with any NPC in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure you do it with somebody, or it's going to be the shopkeeper.
Like the girl.
the inn or the
The,
innkeeper.
no, the innkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's the innkeeper, which I think you can have a good
I'm
relationship.
already good friends with that girl. That girl, like,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Because I think I've talked about it before, but it will ruin your post. Oh no, you're already in the post game.
Yeah, I'm already in post game.
Okay, yeah, it ruined my post game experience because my closest relationship was with the innkeeper. Mm-hmm. So what happens is, we're in a relationship. He moves in to that first village.
Oh,
So
shit.
I had to teleport over there every time I wanted to
Like change your vocation.
Change my vocation. Stuff like that.
Is there-
and I had to teleport back, and it ruined my post-game experience horribly.
Is there a menu to check where you're at relationship?
I don't know. I don't think so. Just make sure you do it with somebody, because I think the default, if you don't, is the innkeeper, because that's who you talk to the most in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's all this stuff. Hold on, real quick.
You've been saying that for fucking 10 minutes.
So there's. This,
I was just giving him a tip, but he's already.
I'm already past that.
Both of you fuckers have just.
So there's this one shopkeeper that you can get some really good items from, but the problem is, in order to do that, you have to like race his daughter, and I didn't even know about this. And
you don't race the daughter, you escort her.
Hold on, you get the escorter.
And
so I'm talking to Brad because I was watching the feed when Brad was doing this. I was like, Brad, make sure you don't do anything to the girl, because if you even touch her, it's gone forever. And Brad was like, what are you talking about? And he like picks her up, done, gone. That's it. Like if you have to like escort her throughout the city, and then you have to race her. And if you win the race, gone. Like you can't get his magical like items that he
You
sells.
have to lose the race.
Or it's an idol that you give to a shopkeeper.
It's an idol. It's a
so they
golden
can sell the best
idol.
items.
It's a golden idol that you can then gift to a shopkeeper that will sell you better items. Then.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
play more Dragon's Dogma. It's one of the best games of the year. Nick,
God damn it.
Far
That
Cry
sucks
3?
so bad. Yes, we'll talk about Far Cry 3 in just a minute after we come back from our break. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. And we're back, and we're finally going to talk about Far Cry 3. I'm so glad we finally made it to this point in the podcast.
Yeah.
Because now we're going to talk about Far Cry 3, which I've been playing. And you've been playing. Everyone here has been playing Far Cry 3.
Playing a lot of Far Cry.
A lot. Real quick, around the table, what versions of the game are you playing? I know Brad's playing the PC version.
Yes.
Nolan's playing the PC,
PC.
version. How much have you played, Nolan?
Probably like 10 hours.
Okay. When? I saw you playing it that one night. You were broadcasting it?
No, I never broadcasted it.
Chris, you've been playing. You're probably farther than most of us here, as far as at least as far as story stuff goes.
Yeah. I'm playing on the Xbox, and I gotta tell you, it looks rough.
Okay, so
Why are you so far in Far Cry 3 if you haven't finished Walking Dead?
that was a low blow. Low blow,
The
Nolan.
fuck, Nolan.
I'm Frisbee?
I'm this close to being at the end of Walking Dead. Whatever, man. Whatever. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I mean, Far Cry is admittedly really fun.
Let's not just derail this conversation before it even begins, Nolan. Okay. So first of all, let me just say, Jeff and myself did record an audible impressions for Far Cry 3 earlier in the week when we had only played about 3 or 4 hours of it. So you can kind of get a taste of our very early initial impressions of the game. You can download that now. It's on the site at 4playernetwork.com, or you can find it on iTunes. But we've been playing a lot more of it now. We're all considerably farther. We've unlocked a lot more of the map, and we can now compare it more accurately to the PC version now that we have two people here that have been playing that version. So where do you think we should start?
have you tried playing it while broadcasting?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I might, if I can't, if there's still time, depending on how late we finish, I'm going to broadcast them tonight, but that'll be the Xbox version if I do.
I'll just say that when I tried broadcasting this game early on, like on high settings on high or whatever, like it was running like at 30 frames a second.
That was chugging
Through, well, not on my end, but on
the feeds in.
Or no, even on my end, it affected my FPS when I had Twitch running with the the game source captured on XSplit. Mm-hmm. And then someone recommended to use this program that's not XSplit.
Yeah,
This is open source software, open broadcast software, and it's like the same thing as XSplit, pretty much. And like it went up to like 60 frames a second.
is that the other one we have?
No, we don't have it.
Like it doubled my frame rate.
But I'm looking into it.
That's crazy.
So like Twitch is just such a hog, and it makes running PC games annoying.
XSplit.
But XSplit, what is it?
You keep saying Twitch.
I mix those up. Does anybody else do that? Well, maybe because you don't use that often. Like I cannot stop mixing those up. Yeah. Twitch and XSplit are just
Well, they do kind of
just
go
seem-
hand in hand.
Well,
You always broadcast.
Can't have one
Twitch.
without the other. Anyways, let's get on track here.
OBS. Use OBS when playing PC games while broadcasting.
Let's talk the actual game.
Okay.
but I don't know where to start.
So Far Cry 3 is a first-person shooter.
Yes.
It takes place on an
Ooh,
island.
that's where I can start. I'm a huge fan of Far Cry 2. Huge fan of Far Cry 2, despite its obvious flaws, which Jeff and I kind of talked about in that other
Extremely
show.
repetitive.
I would say, I mean, the thing is, this game, too, like Far Cry 2, I think is a very formulaic game.
Yeah.
It's repetitive.
I think it does it in a better way, though.
Yes. The key difference being in Far Cry 2, it was repetitive in the sense that even when you took over an outpost, when you spent a bunch of time stalking this outpost and you cleared it of enemies, the moment you drive away from the outpost and come back, they're all respawned. They've taken back, and like you don't feel like you're progressing or really unlocking anything. In this game, taking out an outpost in a jungle, not only
So hold on, I think you're getting a little too low level. Let's back up a little more.
back up.
So
back
we're
up.
on an island.
Far Cry 3.
A couple of them.
Well, you start out on an island.
Far Cry 3 is an open world first person shooter set on a tropical island that is completely open.
Mm-hmm.
You can go anywhere, do whatever you want at any time. In fact, and while there is a story, and as far as I can tell so far, a pretty interesting story. At least it's portrayed in an interesting way. Like I have literally only done 5 missions, and there's like 30.
Well, that's
40
good
of them.
because I hear the story missions just.
Well, let's not comment on what you've heard because I've
Well, I
also
can tell you what I played.
I've heard other people say that it's actually pretty good. I don't. It's
How many story missions have you done?
5.
How far are you? I mean, what does that mean? What is?
The last thing I did was torch the marijuana fields.
Okay, that's actually what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
And I'll
haven't
tell you this much: story missions are not as fun as fucking around in the world
Okay, that's true.
because they're
I mean, the
they're
thing
linear and the checkpointing kind of is all over the place. I don't know what's wrong with
Yeah,
the
the
checkpointing.
checkpointing is kind of weird in this game.
It is.
But once again, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Going back to what I was saying a second ago about the difference between Far Cry 2 and 3. In this one, if you work to take over an outpost, because the world is scattered with these pirate outposts, and the pirates are kind of the enemy that are populating the island. If you take over an outpost, if you clear it of enemies, you take over that outpost, and as a result, your friendly group, the locals on the island,
natives.
the
Yeah,
natives,
the natives of that area.
they swoop in and they kind of patrol that area, and enemy presence in the area goes down pretty dramatically.
Yep.
And you can move about the area a lot more freely without having to worry about constantly entering into firefights, all that kind of stuff.
You can now respawn in that area.
You can fast travel,
You can buy stuff there,
which is great because you don't have to go clear across the map to like a town. You can just find your nearest outpost and then shop for weapons and ammo and stuff there, which is great.
Real quick on that, are you having money trouble in all in this game?
I wouldn't say money
but-
trouble. I've never had an abundance of money, but I've always had enough money to buy what I would
I
like to
can't
buy.
not. Like my wallet's always full.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
wait,
gotta craft a bigger.
What
wallet.
size is
my-
your wallet?
6,000.
I think I'm at
That
6,000
might be-
right now.
That might be the
6,000 too.
biggest. I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
it's not 10,000.
Or am I no? Yeah, I don't have
But that
10,000
one-
because that one you need a special item.
A
to craft it.
legendary, like one of the
So the
hunting
problem
quests.
is, what I found is in these games, I don't care about the story.
Yeah.
Like so far,
and-
so far I'm on the one where I have to go to the ship, that pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty early, right? And
Yeah.
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 Yeah, pretty early. Yes.
Yeah, I
Have
rescued
you met the
one-
doctor yet?
Yeah, I rescued the doctor and I got that mushroom for him. And then,
You're on the first mission after that, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. So I'm not far mission wise. Now I've explored a shit ton of the island. Hold on.
You have to stop.
Okay.
I'll tell you why in a second.
Okay. So I mean, I have all of my pouches and packs and everything are to the max, besides a couple which I need legendary like stuff to fill, and I have like almost every gun unlocked. I have all of my ammos all full.
That's actually kind of like an imbalance, though. Like, I don't like how quickly you can max out on your hunting stuff.
extremely like so like literally
that's
every
frustrating.
single weapon. I have all the weapons. Each one has as many augmentations as it can have.
Oh,
Now here's the
man.
thing.
How many of the
I thought I had
signatures
all.
do you
I
have?
thought I had all the weapons too, but they're adding signature weapons here and there for accomplishing
Yeah.
missions.
Okay, so
No, for doing things like getting relics. Like if you bring up the menu that shows all your progress, you'll see like for each mission like there's a notch or whatever, but sometimes there's stars. That shows you when you'll get something
Specific.
if you've
Something
getting
special.
like exactly.
So there are additional weapons that are special that you can.
But
unlock by doing
here's
those things.
okay.
I've
so
got 3 of them.
I've been doing the story missions. I don't want to do the story missions. I don't like the story missions. I think the story's fine, but I think it's like one or two characters that are kind of cool, but I hear the story gets. I mean,
once again, let's not comment on the story we haven't experienced yet.
He's talking about what he has.
What I have
so
played,
far.
there has been like a couple of, or there was one recently that I believe it was like if you get spotted, I think it's the pirate ship. If you get spotted, you reload to a checkpoint.
Right.
I haven't
it's
done that
stupid.
yet.
Like it's the kind of shit. You've done that.
I didn't have to respawn.
Maybe you just didn't get spotted.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe they
I don't
didn't set off an alarm.
I don't remember a pirate ship where I had to.
not a pirate
Yeah,
ship.
it's a beach like tanker.
Yeah, a beach tanker ship, and you have to like.
Dude, I went there
There's a
guns
radio on it that you're looking for.
You did not go in there guns.
Dude,
a-blazing.
I
You
took
can't.
out everybody on that fucking map.
Oh, I killed everyone silently. You can't go in guns a-blazing.
Okay, I didn't go in guns a-blazing, I guess.
The thing is, if you get spotted, it's just stupid mission design that I don't think has to be like that. Because honestly, like taking out an outpost and when you're just exploring the area, that is like the tried and true Far Cry gameplay.
Yeah.
Is you're scoping out an area, you're finding out, you're marking all the dudes, and you're like, okay, how am I going to approach this? That's Far Cry. That's what it was in 1. That's what it was in 2, and that's what it is in this game. Even though all three of those games are kind of different, that's what Far Cry has always been about.
Yes.
And you don't need to do these like very like single player or like campaigning type things that you find in other shooters that honestly you just aren't as fun. But
the beauty of it though is that
like, I don't mind the story. I don't like. No, that's the thing. I don't mind the story. I don't like how the story is delivered in these missions that just aren't as fun as the stuff you can do out in the world. And I heard that only gets worse. But from what I played of it, I've actually run into some frustrating stuff. And you know what has never happened? Me getting frustrated out in the open world. But the only reason I'm doing that is because you get something about halfway through this game that makes I want that before I start playing the game like the way Nolan's doing it right now.
What is it?
You get a wingsuit.
What?
Shit.
Basically, it's like you're a hang
flying
glider
squirrel?
anytime you want.
Well,
Run, jump off a cliff.
dude,
What the
that's got to be. I mean, like I feel like I'm pretty close to the end, and I haven't even
the
Wait,
heard
it
of
tells you how many
like-
story missions you have.
The one thing I would appreciate with that is if I fall 4 feet, I take damage.
Yeah.
I hate that.
No, it's
Jesus
annoying.
Christ. It is so annoying that I literally fall like 3 or 4 feet.
And even if you don't take damage, he still like takes 2 minutes to get his head back on straight.
Yeah.
He like gets really disoriented.
Because the hang glider's cool. But imagine if you always had a hang glider.
hang gliders are
They-
awesome. I've
they-
used
yeah.
them so much.
So I just want to get that, and then I'm gonna Nolan the fuck out of this game. But I feel like I've already sort of like on all my crafting, I'm already at the
hunting.
the special hunting quest.
Yeah, so I am on
And that's
all of them.
frustrating. I feel like they should have stretched that out, or they should have made it so the animals are harder to find, or something. But I like that there's relics. I like that there's actually some underwater caves. One of the coolest I stumbled across was, I don't like how they're not very big.
Yeah.
There's sort of a limit to their size always. But I just was looking on my map and it said there's a relic nearby or something, and I was just sort of walking around and I fell into a hole, and I fell like fucking 50 feet down, and I landed in water.
I found one that was like that.
Yeah,
just
I
like
was
a random
holy
hole.
shit!
Yeah, like straight
that
down.
shit is so cool. It's so cool.
Okay, here's the problem though. Here's the only problem I have, and maybe you can shine some light on this. But so far, I've found plenty of caves and stuff like that, but never have I found a cave that had something super interesting in it. They've always just been full of crates with ammo and some stuff to sell.
Relics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, so I found one that was hold on real quick. Let me go back to his real quick, and then I talk about that. That hole I fell in, I thought they did a really good job of making me feel like I just fell in a hole and I landed in water. Because in most games, you land in water and you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in water. But in this, I was like 6 feet under the water, and I was disoriented, and I was like looking around, and I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? I'm running out of breath, and I'm like literally having to try and figure out, like, it really felt like I clumsily fell in a hole, and I was like freaking out. But so I found one cave on like the southeast part of the first island, and it was kind of really set far back in, and when I went in there, there was apparently some like coke ring. There's all these like packs of coke like everywhere and stuff, and there's like soldiers outside the front of it like guarding it and stuff. But if you come in through a cave in the back, they aren't there. And I mean,
You can do all the coke and leave.
I wish. I'm like, why can't I take all this? Like, this is practically money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, people are gonna give me $10 for busted wristwatch. I have like a whole pack of cocaine.
So far I agree. There hasn't been anything spectacular, but I mean,
this is where like
what are you expecting though? Like,
no, this is the area of the game I've been most disappointed because this is where like the Red Deadiness could kind of come in, where you stumble across characters and little side events that are happening that are completely unattached to your story or character or whatever, and even just finding old bones like in Dishonored, where you're going through this cave, right, and then you find these two bodies of this like man holding this woman, but they're dead, and they've been long dead, and they have and there's like a note, like a love note between them, and so you can see something happening, you're like, oh, that's so sad, and you can read about what happened to them, and even though it doesn't really involve doing anything,
it adds character to the world.
It adds to the world. It makes it feel very lived in outside of your own existence, and there isn't a whole lot of that.
I agree. They aren't the best at doing stuff like that. It's unfortunate. I mean, like Fallout was really good at that, at finding random caves that have huge backstories to them and characters and stuff.
I mean, they even did it pretty well in Assassin's Creed to a degree.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, so maybe it doesn't have that kind of like set piece flair like you're talking about. And you're right, that is pretty markedly absent from this game. But the elements that are in the game, like the enemies and the wildlife, I feel like they exist in the world in a really well-crafted, organic manner.
Oh, yes, that is
a persistent way. Like, there have been times where I've gone up to, I'm scouting an outpost, I'm like hiding in the bushes behind, like on a hill, like with my camera, and I'm marking targets, and all of a sudden a wild, like,
tiger,
like leopard, like not even one that was like in the cave.
That's the best stuff about this game. That was the stuff that was crazy about,
and kills half of them for me, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll just mop up, and I won.
This seriously feels like that was the reason I wanted to love Far Cry 2, but Far Cry 3 is like, and a lot of people sort of have their own they understand the vision that like Clint Hawking was going for with Far Cry 2, and why your gun would jam, and why you would get malaria. It was supposed to be very oppressive. It was one of the themes of the game, right? But Far Cry 3, like mechanically, it's just Far Cry 2 with all the bullshit, gone, and just it wants to be a nice, pleasurable experience. So you still get that cool stuff from Far Cry 2. These emergent things happening in the world, and I love that. The best fucking moments of this game are when those emergent things happen, and sometimes I feel like they're a little set up, like the caged animals in the middle of a camp. Why do they have a cage?
That's reasonable that they would catch a tiger so they could sell it or something like that, and so they're waiting for transport to come, so they keep it in a rickety cage,
or to prevent it from just eating them when they're walking around the camp.
What Brad's saying is that it's more satisfying when it happens organically.
I
does sometimes,
it does.
but not as many times as the setup ones.
I think fire is a part of that emergent thing too. When you set off an explosion, or you shoot a rocket at some enemies, and all of a sudden the whole camp catches on fire, and you're running for your lives.
Dude, there's been
with a
moments
pack
where
of tapers.
I threw a grenade or a Molotov or whatever, and then before I even realized I'm in the middle of a firefight, and I realized the little hut that I'm standing in is completely engulfed in flames, and I'm like, oh shit! Then my health starts going down. And I have to bolt out the back door so I don't run into a bunch of dudes that are shooting me. And that stuff's fucking the firefights feel so visceral and exciting in this game, and those moments where you're thinking on your feet and you're sprinting through the woods and dodging in between trees and sliding across the grass and doing it all in the interest of taking out these guys before they kill you is super thrilling and exciting.
So like you were saying with
what'd you do?
I'm just
my Clone Wars poster.
Anyway, the characters that inhabit this world might not be have the greatest backstory and stuff, but even though they are plain, just them being there adds so much to the world. Like you were saying, taking over outposts, and so now more of the natives are there, and I'll be going to my camp to go and I'm walking over I'm gonna go buy some guns. All of a sudden some rebels come in and start attacking, and so the natives are now in this firefight, and I'm just standing there watching them have this firefight.
Or
awesome.
Best when you're hiding in a bush, scoping out a fucking village, and you hear next to you a growl. You're like, oh!
That was the next thing. So this is an exact moment.
By a snake out of nowhere.
So I'm hunting a tapir because I'm trying to get a wallet or some shit, and I have them I was using a bow because there were some rebels right there, and I didn't want to. So I'm lining up my shot with the bow, and I hear this growl, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it was literally like Jurassic Park. I turn my head, and there's a fucking tiger right there, and I'm like. and it just fucking pounces on me and kills me. And so that's the thing. Like, I've been killed by
Nolan
gunfire.
Muldoon will call you.
I've been killed by fire. I've been killed by people. Gunfire. Maybe 6 or 7 times. I've probably been killed by wild animals like close to 10, maybe even more. That's because I like to. I've been killed by tigers. I've been killed by a water buffalo. Killed me. A boar.
Those fucking devil chickens.
Oh,
Devil
Fuck
chickens.
those guys. They kill me faster than most.
So I needed a shark skin for one of my wallets.
oh,
And
those
so I'm standing on the edge of the water and I'm looking.
Dude,
There's
shark hunting.
one shark. I see him right there. So I get my bow and I hit him. And he starts to sink. So I dive in and I'm swimming. And I'm cutting him up, looking around. It's all good.
Dude, those are panic
Yes,
inducing
I
moments.
got it. And I'm starting to swim back. Shark just comes out of fucking nowhere.
Dude, there's a trick to shark hunting. Jet skis.
Oh, so no, that was my tweet. Did you not see my tweet? I was
I
like,
did.
it is official. You can kill a shark by running over it with a jet.
And you know
ski.
what?
That's better than my
dude.
method.
Okay, so here's another thing I love about this game. Oh, by the way, I love this game.
Oh, that's good. I was kind of worried that you would.
I do too.
But I like that this game isn't super oppressive like Assassin's Creed and just force. Like Assassin's Creed, you can't just enjoy all the stuff.
Yeah.
You have to do the other shit. This game doesn't force you. That's what I love about this
The
game.
thing is, I think the difference. Okay, so both of those games that we just mentioned, so Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, both open world games, but I think only one of them is really a sandbox.
And only one of them's fun to play. The thing is, I love driving in this game. I love like the driving. It's very
feels
off road.
good. Yeah.
Like it's that thing of like you feel like you barely have control of your Jeep, and that's very satisfying. You know, I actually
hit a rock and you tip your Jeep
like
over.
fucking like I've been playing with Sleeping Dogs or whatever, and you know those are all like GTA type missions, and that's just not fun to me. But I actually seek out the missions in the games where you have to like get like all the checkpoints. With the
health runs. Yeah,
like the health runs or whatever. Like those are so fun because I love driving in this game because it feels so crazy. You know, it's the reason why I like MotorStorm, but I don't like flat road racing games because honestly to me they're just kind of boring. You know, I like the feeling like I'm just barely in control, and I feel like I get that in spades in this game.
So I was riding on a Jeep, and I was going south because I saw there were some sharks. This is one of the times I was shark hunting, and I accidentally took a corner too sharp and I rolled off a cliff. And so my Jeep's rolling down this cliff and it lands on the beach. And there are these 2 guards and they turn and they don't start shooting. They're just like, what's that? And they start walking. And I clamber out of the car and they're like, get him! And they start shooting at me. So I'm like, oh, fuck. And so I'm having to shoot them too. And it's just so crazy.
Again, there's the moment-to-moment stuff. The stuff that can happen during the moment-to-moment gameplay is what keeps this game always exciting.
Yeah.
Like even though what you're doing is technically very repetitive, it can happen in so many different ways that it doesn't matter.
Have you
Just
all
the way
encountered crocodiles?
I haven't yet.
Yeah, like one.
So people keep telling me they're there. And so anytime I'm in a fucking swamp, I am scared for my life. And I'm just like, fuck, okay, I don't see one.
It's not.
Okay, swim, like really fast, trying to get across because I don't want to get attacked.
So here's the thing. Here's one question I have. Has anyone gotten beyond the first island yet?
No.
Because I want to know if
I've
it feels
unlocked
different.
all of
That's
the
where you get the wingsuit. I think is
On
when
the
you get to the
second
second island.
And like I said, like I mean, again, I know we're really only talking about what we've played, but I'm pretty close to the end.
The end of what?
The story.
The story.
See, I don't think you are. I think you think you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm about to go to the second island, and everything I've been hearing says once you get to the second island, you're
There's
almost
there is a
there.
count. There's like 38 story missions, and it tells you how many out of those you've completed.
I mean, I feel like I've done a lot of them.
Okay.
Well, it tells.
I mean, you guys haven't gotten to Buck yet, have you?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, see, like
I'm so the carrot in this game is really good and tasty. You know, the thing of like I want to upgrade this weapon, so I gotta get some money, so I gotta hunt this thing to increase the size of my wallet. All these systems feed into each other very well, so you always have something to do.
Yeah.
I'm worried that carrot. I'm gonna eat all that carrot, and I'm not gonna have as much motivations to
The drive's gonna be
like for example, I want to get to this next area because so I
Can see it.
so I can see it. So what do? I go get the radio tower, which opens up all these other areas. So I can hunt that thing now because I know that's there. It's like, well, let me capture this outpost before I go hunting, so I can respawn there if I die, and then I go hunting because I want to get the skin that gives me this upgrade to increase the size of my wallet, and so I can have more money to upgrade this weapon, and as I'm doing that, I'm getting experience, by taking out these outposts or whatever, and that's getting me new skills that I want. Eventually it's going to get to the point where I get the skills that I want, because those unlock pretty fast. All the way, some of those are locked up in story missions.
Yeah.
Everything. I've crafted everything. The game isn't much challenging anymore. All I can really do in the open world is maybe run around and look for relics. But even that isn't that challenging, because the map gives you so much information that I'm worried that I'm going to get to a point in this game where I've all the parts that I've enjoyed of it are gone, and all that's left is some story missions. And Brad from Giant Bomb said that that's what he did, and it was kind of a bummer by the end of it. So I'm a little worried.
But at what
about
point
that.
do you hit that? 40 hours in, at that point, you've played 40 hours of a game. Why are you going to
Well,
complain?
I mean, that's why I'm beelining for this wingsuit. So
Okay, but so let's talk a little bit about, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the story, but it has been one thing they were pushing pretty heavily when they were marketing the game.
Well, there's one thing they didn't do in marketing. They didn't do all marketing, and that's let the main character speak.
Yes, okay. The main character is the most annoying.
I hate Jason Brody with a fiery passion.
And I think all that pretty
There's
much
a mod that lets you turn off his voice.
the thing is, I think all of that stems from it's just a bad voice actor. Because
No, it's writing.
No.
It's writing.
It's
also.
writing. Well, the problem is you have this character, and it seems like he's like some party college kid, whatever. He's just down there on vacation. Woo, yeah, let's do this. And all of a sudden, he gets put in a situation. And at the beginning, it makes sense. He's freaking out. Someone important dies. You don't know.
You're trying to find your friends.
Yeah, you're trying to find your friends. You don't know where they are. You don't know what you're doing. You got put a gun into my hand. I've never killed anybody before. What am I supposed to do? And then 10 minutes later, pow, headshot. I'm killing all these people. Okay, that's cool. I now have to skin this boar. It's gross. Yeah. What the fuck is that?
They should have never given him a voice.
What the fuck is that?
They should have never ever given him. It should have been like Gordon Freeman. Imagine Half-Life, where you're playing,
or Far Cry 2.
In the middle of Half-Life 2, you've played. You're in Ravenholm, and he goes, "Zombie!" after you've already killed fucking legions of them.
I know.
It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid, and it kind of makes me hate that character.
And
I want the villains to win because they're cooler than the good guys.
That's
the
true.
villains in this game or just the characters outside of the main character you play as in this game are phenomenal.
I don't want to get to the point where I've killed Voss, because then what am I left with? My dude. Who sucks.
Hopefully that doesn't happen to the very end.
I kind of disagree with that statement. Voss is interesting, but you don't see him that much. And the other characters, I don't
frustrating.
think
The
there
Doctor's
are.
pretty cool.
The Doctor's cool. I also like
The Doctor is okay. I don't know. I'm not clicking with any of the characters. All of his friends suck.
Yeah.
The ones, they're either not interesting at all, or they are incredibly annoying.
Well, they're they're college kids.
Yeah,
What do you expect?
well, I mean,
Hey, I was college kids once, and I was cool.
we are kind of in that age group that these characters are supposed to be in. I think they would be a little more relatable.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens when the developers of the game probably for the most part aren't in our age group. So I don't know. If maybe it was a stretch
kind of
for them.
commentary.
Maybe it was a stretch for them to kind of create characters that were super relatable.
I just really feel like, Voss's sister, the shaman lady.
I just met her for the first time.
Yeah,
She's intriguing.
I've seen her once.
She's intriguing. I don't know what the fuck's going on yet. I just met her for the first time.
Intriguing.
You mean you want to bang her?
I do.
Bangarang. I feel like there's
game-
a real lack of depth.
This
to the
game needs to be
characters.
more self-aware.
Yeah. No,
They need to be
definitely
making
does.
jokes about how you're killing,
Bunch of.
fucking genocide.
I must have killed hundreds of guys by now.
Yeah.
pirate
Hundreds and
genocide.
hundreds.
It's insane. Your abilities are insane.
Oh god.
Yeah.
You come across a camp of fucking 10 dudes and a bear, and you take them down, no problem. That's silly.
It is.
Yeah.
You should not be
you
able to
think-
do that.
The whole timeline that Jason Brody's on the island can't be more than a few weeks at best,
even, yeah.
right?
Well, no, I don't know, but I don't want. I feel like I heard it. I was watching an interview somewhere where they said they didn't want to spoil it because it's story related, but I think they said by the end of the game, a large span of time.
They've been.
I could be
don't
wrong.
know.
I could be totally wrong, but
there's been
Like a
no
fortnight.
indication.
no, like they say that maybe a couple of years passed before
That
you
might
see
be
the end of the game.
That might be true, but
And I could
going
be totally
through
wrong.
the game, it's as you're playing through the game, there's no real indication that any sort of significant amount of time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
which sucks because that's where the failing comes in because the big goal that I think they had there the theme they were trying to capture was watching this like college boy transform into this like visceral killing machine because of the situation that he's put in.
And you're losing that because you have no frame of time.
Yes.
It seems like like you were saying,
I
1
think
minute
it's a combination of frame of time and also a combination of at the very beginning he's a wimp and then all of a sudden I'm shooting guys in the
But
head.
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no indication that wasn't yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there is kind of like a day-night cycle, but you don't really get a sense for how many days you've been on the island. It really does feel like 1 minute he's all like, "Oh my god, I've never shot anyone before in my life," to like he is literally
Bond.
like fucking Rambo
shooting
with a bow and arrow
launchers
and a
and-
knife going in and just murdering guys in a
here's-
very stylish way.
And this is where I would make the argument that this is why I really appreciate what they did with Assassin's Creed 3, where they took almost 8 hours setting up the story.
I mean,
Say what you maybe,
But
this
maybe
that's
like-
kind of the trade-off there. It's like
narratively, it might work better. But you know what? Like
as far as
fun,
Yeah.
I think this.
and
this is the
it
game.
all depends on what you're looking for. And a smart move to make would have been to say, do you want to spend 8 hours building the narrative of this game? Yes or no. I want to jump straight to the fun, cut all that stuff out, so people like Brad can just go and have fun.
I mean, not people like me. It's the people who like stuff like fucking
Call of
Skyrim
Duty.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Who want to play a game that way, where I have the option to do this main storyline, but there's so much in this world I could just go do. Nothing's forcing me to do that, and I love that about this game. I don't like how, I wish Assassin's Creed was like that. I wish I didn't have to keep going forward in the story game mode to unlock more boat missions. Just let me do all of the boat missions I want.
Yeah.
So you mean like the game would be better served being more reactive to your presence, to what you're doing, as opposed to you doing what the game wants you to do and like
Just
funneling
reactive
you down
to-
a path.
Yeah.
But the focus is on you and the game's kind of reacting to your actions.
Yeah.
I would also recommend, once again, listening to that audible impressions that I mentioned before, just because to hear the different styles of gameplay, because Jeff is actually playing the game completely Rambo style. He's doing nothing but bow and knife. And
I don't understand the point of using the bow in this game.
I have been using the bow.
it's
why?
It's silent.
and you can
So is my silent sniper
satisfying.
rifle,
If you-
and my silent assault
Listen,
rifle,
no.
and my silent SMG.
not as silent as you think.
No.
I do
That's
just
true, first of
fine.
all. If you're in the camp and you kill, and there's like two guards standing next to each other, and the one slightly ahead of the other one, and you kill the guy that's behind, sometimes that other guy can hear and turn around and catch you. It's
Most
happened to
of the
me
time.
before.
Whatever.
if
So
you-
you sneak up and kill him with your
No, but
knife
I'm saying
and do a
yeah.
knife throw with
If
the
you
other
do the
guy.
same thing with a bow, almost about 90% of the time, he'll never notice.
It's silent.
It's
But if he
completely silent.
I mean, beyond that, killing people with the bow is incredibly satisfying.
I don't know.
I really, really think it is. Like, I mean,
I just
most
don't
of the
like
time-
how if you get
It's also
caught,
the only skill-based weapon in the game.
It is. Yeah,
Well,
you
I would
actually like. I mean, it takes a lot. Like, I mean, you have to do a lot more corrective aiming with
Yeah.
the bow than
There
you
is
do
arrow
with the
drop, so if he's the farther the target is away, the higher you got to aim.
well,
You
there's
gotta-
drop with every weapon, I think.
There
except-
is, but not
as
like
much,
not like the
obviously.
bow and arrow.
It's,
Like, not to the point where I have to line up the red dot with his head and then guesstimate how far I'm gonna angle that up to make sure.
to say that's the only skill-based weapon is insane. When
Okay.
when I'm up on a mountaintop and I see a guard running down and I lead with my sniper shot, to get him right as he's,
It's true.
gonna
The
spot me
sniper
or
is a
whatever.
little lenient in this
true,
game.
but I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to make those kind of corrections with the sniper rifle as often. If you're shooting at a stationary target, you just put the dot on his head, pull the trigger, and he's dead instantly.
But are you approaching every combat scenario in this game like sneaking around with your bow?
No.
I've been doing a lot of it.
So that's where I'm like, well,
Jeff is.
why am I going to use the bow? Because a silenced fucking M16 is like it's insanely deadly. I just roll in
part
and
of-
this guy goes, huh? Well, he's dead now. And
part of the
it's
reasoning
silent.
too is because you get when you're clearing outposts,
Yeah.
you get more
You get
points
more-
I
for
still
being
get-
undetected, not raising alarms. It's easier to do
You
that
can
with
use-
the bow.
It
It is easier to. It is easier.
I
to
could
do
clear
that
out a
with the
camp
bow.
with a rocket launcher and get that 1,500 points. All they have to do is not see you. You could set the place on fire. As long as they
But,
don't see you,
No, you
you're
will
fine.
lose points if they raise an alarm, whether or not they see you.
You know what blows up alarm things? Rockets.
So that's what I do sometimes. Is I'll from far away I can see the alarm box and I'll shoot it, And
You know what? I did that yesterday and realized there was 2 alarm clocks.
There's beautiful moments. I snuck up on this camp. There was 2 of those heavy guys and a bunch of other guys. I would just stood in the bushes and I waited and I waited. I had marked everybody. I waited and I sort of snuck up. I got a little height. And I was like, C4, boom, 1,500 points. In a single like throw detonation. Like that's just as satisfying. Sometimes even more satisfying than sneaking around.
Can you blow up bridges in this game?
No, I don't think so.
The dream is to have this game, but like with the Red Faction destructibility. That's what
that would be
amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah,
you just blow up towers and shit.
That's
just Red Faction Guerrilla 2. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's kind of a personal preference thing. I really like the bow.
I mean, here's the thing.
That's been my favorite way to.
It's a personal preference.
Cool?
That's the beauty of the game.
Gun.
That's the beauty of the
Light
game.
people on fire.
It's all about freedom, and you have the freedom to play whatever you want. Jeff is choosing to play the game completely bow and arrow and knife, and that I can see why that would be appealing. That stuff is super satisfying.
It makes sense from an ammo perspective because you can recover the arrows. If you don't miss, it's really easy to get all your arrows back.
Issues. I never have ammo issues.
I mean,
I don't have ammo.
I don't have ammo issues just because you can refill.
You never have ammo issues.
Every single fucking guard in the game has like an assault rifle, which will refill my silenced M16, which is a single shot like death. Like it's semi-automatic. Like it's insanely powerful.
Don't forget you can also refill all of your ammo at every outpost.
Yeah. But I was having ammo issues for the first 5 or 6 for a long time, like beyond where you guys are.
Oh,
I was having some.
Have you been upgrading all your?
I am
crafting?
now.
Oh,
yeah. So that's what I did.
That's what I did. I upgrade all my hunting stuff early on. So way too fast, actually. I love hunting stuff in this game.
Well, this will kind of tie into
hunting a bear with a bow. Jesus, like
the bears take so much damage.
Did you get that? The ultimate bear?
I haven't gotten that one yet. No.
The ultimate bear with like a bow. Oh my god!
I had to take out those 4 leopards with bows.
Well, when you go to an outpost and you see the hunting thing that says rare, that's when it's one of the requirement ones for the final upgrade on stuff. And those are like because they force you to use a bow or your knife.
Specific weapon. Yeah.
Oh fuck! No, I think the bear was a shotgun, but you had to fight him in a cave.
Oh no, I did fight that one.
Oh.
Yeah, no. So there's this like trail of dead bodies leading into this cave, and in the cave there's like dead bodies strewn about everywhere, and you walk around this corner and there's a bear standing there covered in scars and scraped, and all you have is like a shotgun, and he stands up and the fucking take him out. It was crazy.
Cool.
I did do that one.
Sounds super cool.
Yeah.
I will say this is going to tie into a viewer question we have at the end of the show, but I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I made the decision not because I'm not a fan of the soundtrack. I actually do enjoy the soundtrack for the most part. Their choices, musical choices, but I turned it off completely.
Yeah, me too.
Because that's how I played Far Cry 2, and I feel like that's the optimal way to play this game. Because when you are exploring this world and you are all you can hear is the sounds of the jungle and the wind blowing through the grass and the creaks of the metal as you're climbing the towers and like that, it does so much better. It does way more than any soundtrack could ever do. So if you're playing the game right now, fucking turn that shit off.
You know what? Just final say. Honestly, I do think this game would be better instead of like killing masses and masses of dudes if you were exploring the world and actually looking like unprompted. No like fucking say go here to find this, but you were stumbling into temples and ruins, and in those temples and ruins were filled with puzzles that you can solve, and maybe you were a girl with large breasts. Like imagine if this was a Tomb Raider game, but instead of camps of dudes to kill, they were like you were finding hidden temples that were huge in scale. That's what Tomb Raider should be. Should have become.
Still be a couple camps of dudes to kill.
Not fucking. Well, yeah, no. The animals are still there. Maybe they're harder to kill because traditionally back in the day that's what Lara Croft killed.
And she uses a bow and arrow.
Yeah, and she uses a bow and arrow. But that's the direction. This was. The funny thing is, I had this ultimate vision of like an open world, like Tomb Raider game on islands, and you can like use boats or whatever to get around from island to island. This is kind of what I envisioned, but just with like the temples and ruins and puzzles.
Yeah.
The thing is, when they announced like the Tomb Raider that's out like way back in the day when first stuff started to leak about this new Tomb Raider game, they said it's going to be kind of like open world game on these islands and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, it's happening. My vision is happening, and now
Oh
it's
my
like,
god! Oh my god!
and now it's
No, like wait, open
it's not
world?
that at all.
No,
It's
not
well, it's
really.
kind of open. It's
There's a base camp.
I don't.
It's more open than previous Tomb Raiders.
I am praying that this is a scenario where they're just showing the stuff, because I don't blame them. You know, this is a little off topic, but well, transition.
Wait, no, we're gonna take a break. Before you
Okay,
finish.
but I'm glad that no, it's not. I'm not glad. I'll be very frustrated if this game is just sort of like a lower rent Uncharted game. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to try to tell an interesting story about Lara Croft. That character is never why I played this series. I think that's weird. To that anybody would have played it for that reason.
I'm not gonna say anything.
You just said something.
You like Tomb Raider, but you're pretty sure you never played it for the story of that character.
But I always pointed it out that I wish they would actually.
Okay,
make her a serious
sure.
character.
The thing is, there's people out there like you, maybe a lot of them. The thing is, they're trying something new because even though the last few Tomb Raider games have been good, actually, I guess they haven't been selling that well. So they're just trying to make a game that sells. My hope is that they're showing more prominently the stuff that they think will make the game sell.
Yeah,
but there will still be good stuff in there for someone like me, because right now I'm worried.
Okay, and we'll talk more in the next segment about Tomb Raider, because that was one of the games that was shown at the VGAs this past weekend. So we're going to go ahead and move on from Far Cry 3. I'm sure we'll revisit it next week. A bunch of us will probably have finished the game. We're coming up close. Actually, we only have less than a week left before we need to finish our games to take into consideration for our end-of-the-year show. So many of us will probably have finished the game by then. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk VGA stuff. That includes South Park and Tomb Raider. And we're probably going to talk pretty extensively about the Phantom Pain,
That new IP.
that brand new IP.
Does anybody
hint,
have-
hint, wink, wink. So
We should also look up some.
Okay.
thanks, Brad. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Go back. Why don't you now say welcome back?
Welcome back, everybody. To
No, look, it's like
Well,
I
you
never
should,
interrupted
leave,
you.
Leave a pause, like so. There's a little bit.
Okay,
The room is still.
Wait.
Welcome back, everybody, to
That was
4-Player Podcast.
good job.
It's like it never happened.
It's like it
What
never
never
happened. Don't you bring it back up.
It's just a mouth-based video game.
It's not a mouth-based video game.
We are in the tail end of the show. We have so there's one of the biggest. I'm sad to say this. One of the biggest events of the year for gaming happened over the past weekend.
What?
I mean, when you think about it, as far as like
There
outside
was
of
like one surprising. There was one
that's
new
not the
announcement.
point. Outside of E3, this is the place.
There was-
You will never see more game announcements
Two-ish.
outside of E3 other than this event, most likely, or these big high-profile announcements. This is the place where a lot.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Right.
I will say the VGAs this year, the Spike VGAs, which is the show in question, was a little less offensive than it was the past few years. Although they
Did you watch it?
Yeah,
Why?
I was looking for trailers. And it was funny because we started trying to record the audible impressions for Far Cry while we started watching this, and then we slowly realized this isn't going to work because like we kept going, oh shit, pause it, we're going to fucking trailer. But yeah, there was a fair share of trailers this year. Not as many surprises as I was expecting.
Felt pretty sparse.
It felt
There
pretty
was
sparse.
one new game.
Two.
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 One big surprise.
Well,
One huge
one
surprise.
new game.
I mean, Dark Souls 2 was
the new game.
Well,
And then there was that new IP.
That's not a new game.
Okay.
God damn it, Brad.
I mean, it's the first time they've ever shown anything.
No,
of
it's
it.
not.
Hey, you motherfuckers, this is my show.
Brad, why
When-
can't you
when-
play
What
along?
else?
Oh, are we doing a thing?
Yes, Brad.
That's what you get
It
for
was a
never
bit.
paying attention.
Let me
bit.
let me move down the list, you stupid bitches.
Well, I didn't say what it was yet.
So
Oh, you mean that other new thing?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Forgot about that one.
That
Yeah.
one new thing.
Yeah,
the new
Or
one.
The,
New
the
thing.
second new thing.
Nobody knows what it is.
okay. So we'll save that one for last.
That one.
So I'm just gonna move down the list of games that were shown and trailers that were shown, and so we can comment on them real quick, and we'll just move down the list. All right, there's some big stuff.
Hey.
We saw our first full-length trailer of South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Yeah.
In fact,
What do you mean? I'm excited.
Well, no, I'm fucking super excited, but we have seen footage of this game before.
No, but this is the first like lengthy, fully produced trailer. I think. As far as I can remember.
No, the thing is,
didn't
the
show a
last
whole lot
trailer
of
they
gameplay.
showed, no, it did. The thing is, all they're doing is showing gameplay with no HUD.
Yeah.
With no like UI elements at all, which they've actually already done before.
Yeah.
It's just hard to tell because it looks so much like South Park.
Yeah.
But they've been showing gameplay of this game from the beginning.
Okay. True that.
And they
Brad.
still have not showed, like, what I want to see is someone playing the game, a demonstration of, like, okay, here, I'm going to play this part of the game.
Menu layout and everything.
Here's what it looks like when you're in a battle.
Yeah.
Because this is a turn-based RPG. And as much as you love that trailer, I bet a lot of people still have no idea that this is a turn-based RPG.
And one of the things is they probably don't want to show that because they want to sell it to those people who don't want to play turn-based RPGs.
Which means
Some people who would be turned off by the old-fashioned-y.
I don't think they have a date for this yet, right?
I think it's...
Because I have a feeling
It's
that
a fucking THQ game, so
I think it-
any date is good enough for me as long as it comes out.
I think it has a date set in March.
I can see them showing this at
I
PAX.
think.
I think this will be first shown publicly at PAX. But
Is March before or after February?
After, but before April.
Okay.
God damn you guys! I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that a South Park thing?
No.
No.
It's just us being clever and cute.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Nick's
okay.
not.
High five.
Damn it. All right. So South Park looks pretty cool.
It does look good. And the thing I like about it
It's hilarious.
is every South Park game that has come out before has been for poop. The most recent one, Scott Tinnerman's Revenge. I didn't play it, thankfully. I played the demo. The demo was I read some reviews and they were saying like you could literally reskin the game and you wouldn't know it was like South Park.
yeah.
Like it had nothing to do with the game. They had nothing at all besides, Scott Tinnerman.
They didn't use the IP well.
Exactly. And so this one looks like you are in an episode of South Park.
Well, that's because Matt Stone and Trey Parker have never been
they've
hardly
never
ever
been
involved in the game making process for any game that's ever been made.
And
for
this
South
game
Park.
looks
before now.
Yeah.
this game
Too
looks like
bad.
it channels the humor of South Park very well.
Too bad this IP is nowhere near as strong as it was when those first shitty games started coming out.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe this is not going to be a huge success.
I don't know.
think
The
it's
thing is,
I mean-
here's the thing. It's sad to say. I think anything they kind of show. Well, that's not necessarily true. I say a lot of what they show at the VGAs ends up going on just to do pretty well. I started to say it, and then I backed up a little bit because Spec Ops was first announced at the VGAs, but it dropped off fairly quickly. But anything with a recognizable name that's shown at the VGAs, it's something that people already know about, I'm sure is going to catch. Like it's South Park. Everybody knows what South Park is. And even if they weren't thinking about South Park or didn't watch South Park for a while, if they're watching the VGAs and there's a trailer for a really funny looking game based on South Park, I think it'll sell just fine.
Yeah, but I mean, there are people out there who just don't like South Park, and there's nothing for them.
That
to
show still has a pretty huge audience, though.
It's pretty big.
I mean, it would
and
have
a lot
to.
of them play video games.
It would have to be to go as long as it has.
Yeah.
So yeah, that looks pretty cool. We'll probably see. I bet they'll show that at PAX. So moving right on down the list. See, that was the thing. That was they opened the show with that. There wasn't a whole lot of surprises after that, except for Dark Souls. Did they jump straight to Dark Souls 2 after that?
I don't know.
Pretty quickly. Yeah.
Dark Souls 2. Who the fuck saw that coming? I didn't see that shit
And
coming.
it didn't. I mean, I don't think it really looked like the first.
Well, I mean,
Dark
it was a
Souls.
cinematic trailer, so you can't really judge a whole lot based off
the
of it.
tone of it. Like, remember the. I don't know. Just
the
in
game-
comparison to like the cinematic trailer that
So
opens.
that's what we were talking about. Is it seems like they're trying to maybe add a little bit more story to the game.
Well, no. Apparently, for one, the game's got a new director. It's not the same director as the first two games.
It's still from software though, right?
Yeah. Or is it Namco? I know Namco's still publishing it, I believe, right? I think it's still from software, but it's got a new director, the old director's supervising or whatever. But from what I'm hearing, like words thrown around like accessibility, they're trying to make the game.
Does that mean they're dumbing it down?
Well, I don't know. No one knows yet, but rumors of a possible easy mode, stuff like that.
So
is
now
worrying.
I would be okay with that, provided they still provide if they call it like the true Dark Souls experience, and then
Like a purist mode.
Yeah.
I know, but still, it's I feel like people who don't want as hard of a game are just going to choose easy mode. But I think there's something about the Dark Souls experience where, you know, it forces you to experience this game the way that the game intends.
It's not one of those
you
games
get something out of that. You know, you get something out of that.
So now, while I agree that it's an amazing, like Dark Souls, it kicked my ass, but I loved every minute of it. The problem with that is some people aren't that into it, and they're going to see it as that game was too hard. I don't want to buy the next one.
So you're afraid?
I'm afraid that people got turned off by it, and if the game is too hard, there's certain people who don't want to push through. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, I think they would sell more games if there wasn't. But I do agree that it sucks because the whole experience of Dark Souls is that it's difficult, and you're going to die, and you're going to lose shit tons of souls, and that it's gonna happen.
Hours of your time just gone for nothing.
It makes every encounter that much more intimate.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's because you know everything's on the line. That's
You want to know what I was upset about, though? The only thing about this trailer that really pissed me off? The fucking name.
Dark Souls 2.
What the fuck, man?
What do you mean?
Dark Souls 2? I think...
What's wrong with that?
I feel like this is a series that should never have a numerical...
They went from
the only
Demon
reason they
Souls to
changed the
Dark
name to
Souls.
Dark Souls is because they didn't have the rights to call it Demon Souls 2.
They didn't own the rights.
Well,
Yes.
but at the same time, I think they... even if it was accidental, I think they created a very unique... Like,
I don't know. Fucking sequels with numbers on them sell.
Like,
Yeah,
So
they sell better.
I agree that that's the case as well, but I do think they should have taken a bad opportunity and maybe ran with it. Would have been nice, or it could have been interesting. You know, Demon Souls, Dark Souls,
Damned Souls.
Dragon Souls.
I like Damned Souls.
Damned
Like,
Souls.
I don't know anything.
So the problem with Damned is it has Damned.
But you know, it's all about money.
Shadow of the
and
Damned.
Yeah.
It's all about
That game didn't sell
money
very well, though.
That's for other reasons.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, numbers sell more. So
No, that is.
I mean,
true.
yeah, but again, we always talk about these business decisions that don't while they either don't affect the game at all or they affect it in a slightly negative way, and we always talk about, well, in a more pure sense, the developer should do this, and I think that's kind of what this is. It's not that big of a deal, and it probably will ultimately help the game, but it is a little...
It's just
disappointing.
Like I was sitting here, I was sitting on the edge of my seat, like, oh my god, this looks incredible.
I thought it was
I can't wait to see the
Dragon Age 3.
name.
I thought it was Dragon Age 3
I was
too.
hoping it was Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
That's what I thought.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping
Shit.
for because I've heard that Dragon Age 3 is gonna be more of an open world game.
Yeah, they're taking inspiration from Skyrim.
Yeah.
On Dragon Age 3, they've already said that.
I hope they take
Who
inspiration
is
from
it?
Dragon's Dogma.
It's like Skyrim with swords.
Oh man, we're gonna do that again, aren't we? So moving on, Castlevania: Lords of Shadow 2. Brad, go.
That was a really stupid trailer.
Yeah, I agree. I was extremely underwhelmed.
It was underwhelming.
Also, completely spoiled the first game.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's true.
that is true.
Just blew it up.
Just fucking spoil the shit out of it. I will still play it. I will say this. I will tell you this now. I will play
will
it.
play it because I have to play it. You know? What am I going to do?
It's sad that you're.
What if it is good, though?
I
mean, is that
pleasantly
I
surprised.
will be
is there
glad.
an earthly possibility that could
Absolutely.
There's a possibility every
No,
game could be good.
absolutely. You know, I'm never going to write something off. You know, they were close to something in that last game. You know, maybe less like Shadow of the Colossus knockoff fights, and maybe actually make it like a Metroidvania instead of level based would be nice.
Put in some RPG elements in there.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't.
They stuck too close to God of War.
Yeah.
Which is kind of unfortunate. But I think everything else about that game was actually pretty striking. I mean, I was a fan of the artistic direction they took. It had a different feel than what I was expecting from a Castlevania game, and it felt cool. I liked the universe. I just think the gameplay was pretty shallow.
I'm probably more excited to play that one than the fucking one on the 3DS.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because that one was garbage. So what else? They showed trailers for The Last of Us.
So that was a crazy trailer because before this we had seen nothing. We saw the two characters and then like an enemy.
Bandits.
And we saw the bandits once, and that was it. And this trailer just blew everything out
Even
of the
at
water.
E3 and PAX when they were showing this behind closed door stuff, nothing outside of that. They
Right.
showed the same stuff. It was just him and the girl and some bandits, and then
And you didn't know why they were together. This trailer kind of gives you a sense of that.
In fact, those fungal enemies, those zombie fungi creatures, or whatever, were only hinted at very briefly in the original trailer at the VGAs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So this was the first time we saw how violent the game is.
Yeah.
We saw combat.
We saw some combat with zombies. Something we saw some combat outside of just merely shooting or hitting people with sticks. He threw a grenade and
so that was more like was that a grenade he threw, or was that like a trip mine or something?
I think a trip mine. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
And I mean, they like
we got a much better taste of what this game is going to look and feel like. And when you take the Brad, are you breathing really heavy all of a sudden?
Yeah, he is.
I can hear you breathing over my speaking, which is amazing.
Yeah. So also there's more involvement around the people in the game. There's actually a sense of, you're talking with people. It seems like they're out.
There's
they
a
don't
community.
Yeah, there's a community. That's what I was looking for. It seems like they don't. This city we've seen them in, it doesn't seem like that's where they live. It seems like they venture off into there to gather resources, maybe, or to learn more about what's going on.
or they're traveling through there to get somewhere else.
Yeah, it seems like they have some community where they know people and where they're.
Right.
I feel like I have hit a point where I'm gonna slide into media blackout in this game because I love what Naughty Dog does.
idea.
I love what they do. I have no doubt this game will be phenomenal, like as far as presentation goes.
Yeah.
And I would even go as far as say I don't think they're going to do much here structurally. I think the game is going to be structured and linear in a very Uncharted
I'm
way.
a little worried about the release date.
Release date of May,
Yeah.
right? May 15th.
Yeah.
Guess what also is probably going to come out that same
Grand Theft
week,
Auto?
maybe.
GTA 5.
Yes.
GTA has historically come out in June, hasn't it?
No, May.
Was it May?
Last
Rockstar
3 years, it's
game.
been the middle of May.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Rockstar has traditionally been May.
Last three, Max Payne, LA Noire, and Red Dead all come out in the middle of May.
Now, if
Right?
they could still
Yeah.
technically beat GTA out the front gate, but then again, that doesn't guarantee that it won't be hindered by their release.
That's kind of poop.
That would be so stupid.
Yeah.
Just get it as far away from that game as possible.
that is
Give
a-
that game a wide berth
Yeah.
from everything else.
But I will just say the game itself looks fantastic. It'll get plenty of support from us. I
Oh,
know.
definitely. It looks phenomenal.
Do you think they're going like? I mean, everything they've shown about this game before has been pretty brutal.
And
Like it's obvious this game is going to be dark.
Oh, definitely.
But I mean, like I think that trailer really started showing like the tip of like some really heavy stuff they're going to
Yes.
be getting into.
No doubt, which is crazy because Uncharted has this very light-hearted feel to it in a lot of
It's
sense.
like an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah,
like,
and then you go to this, and it's like, whoo! And like to imagine those darker undertones being addressed by a studio that does stuff with such high fidelity, like
yeah,
Jesus Christ, I can't even imagine. But I'm very excited, very very excited for that.
I am too.
BioShock Infinite, they showed some gameplay.
I didn't watch that because I'm still on media blackout.
It looks crazy.
It's cray cray.
In a good way.
I think it looked good. Now I was reading an article that was in response to an article the guy had written about the actual trailer that was shown at the VGAs, and apparently there was a big negative response to it. A lot of people felt that
I think people were talking about performance and stuff, right?
well, they were talking about performance issues. Yeah, they were talking about frame rate and things like that, which I mean are understandable. But then they were also talking about the tone of the game. They feel like that the gameplay that was shown kind of falls more into that Call of Duty category that everyone feels that the box art is going that has kind of portrayed.
They showed a firefight.
Like yeah, they showed a firefight, but I feel really positive about it.
Let me just say this: go listen to. Even if you don't listen to podcasts or whatever, go listen to We Confirm This Week. Jeff played the first 2 or 3 hours of the game in an event, and he dropped some hints. He doesn't go into huge spoilerific detail here. There's a few things that are spoiled, but he said if he could include this game, the first 3 hours of this game, as a game taken into consideration for Game of the Year this year, it would win hands down.
Okay, well, that's
it's
hyperbolic and
No,
silly.
but like the stuff that he went and said after that, like the stuff he was talking about, sounds so fucking exciting.
I'm just saying, he also followed that comment up with saying, I'm being hyperbolic.
Yes, he is very true.
Yeah.
But the stuff that he said, very, very, very positive, very excited. Like just the little like the tonal stuff that he talked about, the like the stuff that they haven't even hinted at really in the trailer as far as the themes of the game. Sound
I stopped
exciting
listening
as hell.
to that like
You
5
probably,
minutes
if you're
in
a
there.
media blackout, yes, don't listen to it because he talks about he revealed some things about some of the themes or the topics they kind of deal with in the game, which I had no fucking clue.
I mean, I think some
And-
of the overarching themes are pretty obvious. And
Yeah, but he
because
mentioned-
they're built to mirror the themes in.
yeah, but he also mentioned two that hadn't even been really hinted at yet.
Well, we don't need to get into that.
I'm not going to. I'm just
I
saying.
mean, I guess yeah. I mean, are you? Yeah, okay, yeah.
he just it sounds really cool.
I mean, and that's what this guy had said too.
And at some point, I stopped listening to the podcast. He was like, all right, I'm turning this off now because I'm sold.
Yeah,
that-
I still have not even seen the one with like the 80s part of it or whatever. Like I have not. I've heard about it, but I have not seen any of this stuff because why?
I mean,
who's not going to play this game?
Yeah.
well, and that was this article I was reading. That was another thing this guy said too. He'd said like, listen, I understand a lot of the negative comments you guys are making about this game, but let me tell you something. I played it. Like he played 2 or 3 hours.
All the previews of the people who played it have been like extraordinary.
He's like, there's almost this like huge disconnect between what you see on screen and like what it feels like when you're holding it in your hand. He said it feels just like BioShock despite the change in the atmospheric tone of it. I mean, obviously, in the first game you were in a dank like Art Deco city under the ocean that was leaking everywhere. That is going to have a completely different feel than being in this big
Floating city.
like bright floating city. Like the colors are so much brighter in this game.
Another game that people have been previewing lately. Apparently, like the game's like done, and people sat down and played through most of the game. Is Metal Gear Rising? And that stuff's been very, very positive.
That's good.
So
That's
I'm
good.
excited.
Every time I see something on that, it looks better.
Like have you seen like the new bosses and some of the stuff that came out this past week?
I haven't seen that.
Pretty crazy.
I am being I am trying to withhold some excitement for that game. I know it's going to be good, but I've always, as far as Metal Gear goes, I've always been super excited about the plot. And I know I'm a broken record when I talk about stuff, and Platinum has burned me before.
But Platinum Games is not handling the plot. Koji Pro is.
Mm-hmm.
But the project, if I recall, took on a very different feel when Platinum took it over because
they had to rewrite the game.
They're
when
going Platinum style storytelling,
but they threw out the old script and rewrote it. But it's still the same script writer who's writing it. It's still Kojima who's overseeing the scripting process. They just had to change certain elements of the story to make it better fit Platinum gameplay.
Okay, I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. Super excited.
I think there's no reason not to be excited about that.
And I'm not. I am excited.
I'm just gonna be.
I'm just worried it's
over
gonna.
the top.
I'm just worried they're gonna pull a Bayonetta, and I'm going to despise the character development and the story.
Here's
and all
the
that
thing.
shit.
Here's the thing. Metal Gear like bosses and stuff have always been like over the top.
Oh, they've always
like
been
crazy like
ridiculous.
comic book villain kind of
yeah.
characters.
Right.
I think when you combine that with like what Platinum Games does, now it's going to be even crazier. Now you're going to be having these crazy villains you've always had, but now like these crazy ass boss fights, which honestly are a little more fitting for like there's this character that has like there's like this chick that has all these arms.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at some of the
Like
stuff. that's out there.
when I heard Platinum was taking over this, I was excited because, like you're saying, Metal Gear bosses have always been over the top. An old guy who constantly sleeps all the time because he has to save his energy so he can fight people in battle. Guys that are in suits completely on fire, flying around. Guys that control hornets. Crazy shit. Vampire men, pretty much. And so, I am so excited to see what Platinum does. Like, I don't know where they can take it that would be so over the top that it's that ridiculous. I know it's possible.
Just play Bayonetta, you'll figure it out.
I know it's possible. But I don't think they're going to go that over the top.
Okay. I mean, some of the action that they've been showing looks to fit in that tone. Like, I mean, some of the stuff I've been seeing has been like running up a wall, jumping off the top of that wall, and then dodging, like skipping across missiles in midair to get to a helicopter to fight it.
Yeah.
Like,
What the
or things like, because he has that blade mode where it brings up the vectors where you can plan out the sword strikes. They've been like, I've seen gameplay of him in that mode with missiles coming at him and stuff, and he's just sitting there like chopping up the missiles in midair, like as they're like just floating towards him, like.
But that almost seems like
gentle leaves on the wind.
That almost
Her
seems
weapon
like
is made of arms too.
That almost seems like stuff that Raiden kind of did in 4.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like giving you control of all that.
That's cool.
I mean, that's fucking amazing. I think over the top. I don't. What I'm saying, I guess what I'm getting at is, I don't think there really can be a ceiling on this thing. I feel like
might be right.
the crazier it gets, the better it's gonna get.
You might be right. And what I loved about Bayonetta was the craziness. I did love the craziness. but I just hated the how
story.
they tried to expect you. They kind of expect you to. I felt like they were expecting the audience to take the story seriously, but it was almost.
Well, they also did a very bad job of telling the story.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Listen. This is the crazy kind of Metal Gear story I think that we're used. Like Metal Gear has always been really crazy.
I know, and I wanted.
But I mean, marry the crazy Koji Pro storytelling with the crazy gameplay of a Platinum Games game, and that seems like a pretty good fit.
It sounds
like,
awesome.
do you remember Metal Gear Solid 4?
Yes.
That shit was you might think it's weird that think of all the rides and stuff from Metal Gear Solid 4.
So
not just the introduction to him, but the stuff he did like towards the end of the game,
fighting the gecko.
He fought a dude with a sword in his mouth.
Yeah, I'm just saying, and stopped like a fucking
Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Well, no, what was that? He stopped like the fucking aircraft carrier with his arm when he was like one armed or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty silly.
Yeah,
but in a good
way. Okay.
I mean, he is a cyborg ninja. I mean, that right there
explains everything. Yes. All right, let's move on. Real quick, Brad, do you want to say anything about Tomb Raider that we haven't already said before?
Just that I'm really worried. I would like this to still be a Tomb Raider game.
I mean, it looks
not a poor man's Uncharted.
It does look like it looks very Uncharted.
There's a lot of stealth.
I mean, I am personally still excited about the tonal shift and the character development and everything. But yes, I totally agree. I do want that element of Tomb Raider to be there, and they haven't shown it yet.
Puzzles, goddammit.
Last thing we'll talk about. Well, before I move on to the last trailer, just two noteworthy things. I think. Do you want to think it was? I mean, I think it deserves it, but Half-Life 2 won Game of the Decade. But I also want to. You think they were doing that to bring Half-Life back into people's minds again?
I'm sure people
to build them up for an announcement soon. Maybe
no.
You never know.
It was just they had to give it to a game.
They're never gonna make another Half-Life. It's not happening.
Shut up, Chris. And The Walking Dead won Game of the Year,
which is cool.
The sad thing is the VGAs have lost so much credibility over the past few years. I feel like the only reason they did this at all was to try and win back some a core audience.
But I mean, I don't think they're like over the past several years or whatever. I think their choices as far as outside of the obvious like stupid categories like character of the year are always like the popular ones.
And they give it to a character that has already been it's in a sequel that existed in the original game years ago.
The choices for games that have been getting better and better.
Yeah.
Who won character of the year, by the way?
Claptrap.
What? Really?
Yes, which was a character in Borderlands 1, which came out 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. Dumb. Gross. So last trailer we're going to talk about, The Phantom Pain.
That new IP?
That
brand
new IP.
New.
Mm-hmm. Brand new IP from Moby Dick Studios.
Yep.
They're from Sweden, apparently.
They're from Sweden.
But you know what's really
isn't
weird?
that Viet?
You know what's weird?
Holland. What?
Their website's only been up for like 2 or 3 weeks.
I guess they got a new website. Maybe a new web.
This was their first game, bro.
Yeah.
I like it. It looked really scary, creepy. Like it was surprisingly creepy.
Yeah, it was a really good trailer.
Really.
I mean, yeah. I love the music of it. I think
before people start freaking out and start trying to think we're idiots, can I just
No, I like the I guess you're the main character. His mullet almost reminded me of MacGyver. Like he had a mullet, kind of.
Yeah, I like it.
That was weird. And then he had like the whole eye patch thing going on. What was that all about?
No, he was in a hospital. He'd been in a coma. There's probably an accident.
Oh right,
or something.
car accident. Yeah. Right. I wonder where he was going when he. I don't know.
It really gets the gears turning in your mind.
Right. Yeah. The gears made of metal.
That's usually what they're made of.
All right, so let's not beat around the bush anymore. The Phantom Pain.
No one mentioned anything about that in chat, by the way. No one was freaking out.
Well,
in fact, they're still talking about Claptrap.
Claptrap.
Well, there is a delay, Brad.
Yeah.
By the way.
Claptrap's going to be in the Phantom Pain.
Well past the delay.
So, the Phantom Pain was shown and presented as a new IP, quote unquote. It depicted a character who was missing an arm and was in a hospital bed, apparently missing an eye, stumbling.
He's missing,
like
he probably knows what happened to it.
Yeah, probably so.
Well, it's not there, so it's missing. It's not like he's actively searching for his eyeball. It's gone.
How do you know it's gone? He just had an eye patch on. Maybe he got some bark in it.
You're missing the point.
Bark.
Character is shown attempting to escape a hospital as it's being attacked by military, some kind of military soldiers force.
And then weird shit starts
happening. Now, and this leads us to the theories that are all over the internet, which at this point,
I don't
considering all the evidence I'm literally staring at in this NeoGAF thread, is almost impossible that this game is not, in fact, Metal Gear Solid 5.
Boom.
First of all, I mean, I started to notice it while I was first watching the trailer because I felt like that looks like Solid Snake. And it's funny because it wasn't until the giant flaming whale swallowed the helicopter that I was like, okay, this is.
And then that threw you. You thought, oh, there's no way they'd be that ridiculous.
So that put me off. But then I saw a guy on fire that looked familiar. And I was like, but wait. And then I saw like a creepy body floating in the
so here we go. Here's some of the evidence that we have linking this game to Metal Gear Solid 5. We've mentioned the stuff about the studio. A lot of the people, the employees from Konami who were at the VGAs when this was announced were wearing Moby Dick shirts. And some of them even had Phantom Pain shirts on. Hideo Kojima was there, but they didn't really say anything about him other than celebrating the 25th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid or whatever. Mm-hmm. Ironic.
Ironic?
Sorry, coincidence.
Yeah,
there was a couple. I mean,
so we have a picture of Kyle Cooper, who is a sequence designer who worked on Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, pictured wearing a Phantom Pain t-shirt at the VGAs. Mm-hmm. We have screenshots showing what looks like a Psycho Mantis doll and a floating character in one of the scenes that happened like a short cut of the trailer.
Hey, Psycho Mantis floated, didn't he?
He did float.
Yes, okay.
It's crazy. There's a lot of comparisons being drawn to that Metal Gear Solid game that was announced. Is that at PAX? The Ground Zeroes. Mm-hmm. Depicting, they show comparisons between the soldiers that were in that trailer and the uniform worn by the soldiers in this trailer, and they're practically identical. You can find this thread I'm looking at by just Google searching NeoGAF Phantom Pain. It's the first one that popped up. So you can see all these pictures with all the differences that are being shown. Go ahead.
I believe the character in the Phantom Pain trailer has a scar just like the scar on Snake's face in the Ground Zeroes trailer.
That is true. There is a picture of that. There's also a comparison to the original Ground Zeroes trailer where it showed that villainous character who was like scarred all over his face, and they're comparing him to the character in the trailer for Phantom Pain with the guy whose face is completely wrapped.
Wasn't there a line in that trailer or somewhere about something creating two phantoms? Or there was some tag about phantoms before this trailer came out.
I don't remember.
And I think it was in the Ground Zeroes trailer.
I'll go back and watch the Ground Zeroes trailer.
I'm not sure, but I think there was something like that.
There's also comparisons to one of the what do they call the thing? Help me, people.
The Kodak?
The Kodak. One of the doctors from the original Kodak in the original games, and he looks just like the doctor depicted in the trailer.
Just like him.
Just fucking like him. Perhaps the biggest thing of evidence was the random lines shown behind the logo in the trailer for the Phantom Pain. If you overlay the word Metal Gear Solid over
5.
Oh, that's a GIF. I was like, oh my god. I thought it was like a
hallucinating
optical illusion. Anyway. But if you overlay the word Metal Gear Solid 5 over these lines, it contours perfectly to those words, which is pretty solid evidence.
There was also other little things too, I was saying earlier about the website.
The thing is, it's not about evidence anymore. Yes, this is a Metal Gear game.
Okay.
This is the Metal Gear game. The thing is, now what do we talk about?
My question is, why did they do this?
Because Kojima's weird.
I know
he's crazy.
I know, but
he also made everyone think that fucking Solid Snake's the main character of Metal Gear Solid 2, and he wasn't.
Yeah, that's true.
He just likes doing weird stuff like this.
He's laughing at everybody.
The thing is, I don't think this was actually meant to really fool anyone.
Yeah.
I think they could have easily made a trailer without a dude who looks exactly like Volgan in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They wanted people to find this stuff to talk about it. Mm-hmm. This wasn't really intended to be this was really trying to fool anyone.
This was a trailer to kind of announce Metal Gear Solid 5 for people who have played past Metal Gear games. If you've never played Metal Gear Solid,
they already announced Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
they showed a demonstration of someone playing.
So that was, if they had not shown that before and then they showed this, I would have liked it better.
Well, the thing is, some people are like, I wish this was a new IP. What do you mean? If this stuff is still in that game and you think it looks cool, this should just make you more excited about the new Metal Gear game.
Exactly.
That's the other thing too. All that stuff was in engine. That was real. That was gameplay.
That was gameplay.
It looked intriguing. It looked
Well, and is that their new Fox engine?
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. Right?
So, what the fuck? I had a thought and then I lost it. So the consensus here, and this is the consensus, I think, is that this is Ground Zeroes. This is not two separate games.
No.
That are connected in some way.
This is not Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
This is 5.
No, but
It's all Metal Gear Solid.
consensus is
All
that
the same thing.
Yeah.
That Ground Zeroes is 5?
Yes.
yes, that the Phantom Pain.
Well,
This
wasn't there a thing?
This is Metal Gear Ground Zeroes. That's what the evidence proves.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
What it
just
doesn't-
thought I had heard that the Ogre code name that everyone was assuming
Project
was
Ogre
Project
is
Ogre,
Ground Zeroes.
that it was confirmed to not be Metal Gear Ground Zeroes.
I think Chris actually might be right in this one.
Project Ogre?
Yeah.
That using that new.
The Fox engine.
No, that's Ground Zeroes. That's what came out of
I mean,
PAX.
PAX, they
we'll have
showed
to
Ground
look this
Zeroes
up,
with
but
the
I'm
new
pretty
engine.
sure I
Wait.
saw something where
no,
Project Ogre and
people
Ground
were
Zeroes
hoping it
two
was
different-
not fucking Metal Gear, but it's Metal Gear.
I mean, okay.
We'll look into
Okay,
this.
okay.
The point is, this is Metal Gear Solid 5, almost conclusively.
Yeah.
Whatever. It is a Metal Gear game.
Yes.
That is what cannot be argued.
Right.
Involving Big Boss.
There are comparisons to what this Metal Gear stuff we've already seen in Ground Zeroes to this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It all looks very interesting. I don't know what to go. The trailer is astounding. I would go watch it. I was going to post on the site yesterday because all the trailers were pulled shortly after they were released onto the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't posted them back up yet. So I'll post them by the time this goes live on the site. So if you're listening to this at home, you can go watch the trailer on the site at 4playernetwork.com. I'd recommend doing it. It looks crazy. The thing is, I think they do these kinds of things not only just to be weird, but this is the kind of stuff that gets people talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whether,
I mean, we're talking about it.
yeah, and we're talking a lot about it, and it's I don't know. It looks cool.
So, I mean,
Let's just
are
leave it
there
there.
going to be, like, fiery,
Unicorn.
elemental creatures?
He was just going crazy.
Yeah, it's probably insane.
Yeah, that's
Is he going to be crazy the whole game, maybe?
That's what I'm thinking.
Whatever.
is
It's,
he's-
it's like a
what if-
Jacob's Ladder kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm just speculating. Just asking the questions.
Is he going to be missing an arm the entire game?
It is way too early to speculate.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably too early to speculate about a Metal Gear game when you're playing a Metal Gear game.
That's true.
That's true. We're not playing it yet. We're not even
That's what
playing
I'm
it.
saying. So it's so early.
So I don't know. Who knows when they're going to? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if E3 was where they kind of officially pull the curtain back a little bit and show you what they're actually talking about.
Yeah.
So I doubt we'll see or hear anything specific about this for a few months at least. And that's all we got. That's all the news we're going to talk about. The VGAs happened. It's a thing.
Still.
We'll do it. We'll do this again sometime next year, and we'll talk about new trailers. But with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the community. Is there anything y'all want to mention before I move on to viewer questions? Because we're going to wrap up here pretty quickly. If you are listening at home and you want to submit your viewer question for us to be read on the show, you can go to 4playernetwork.com, click on the forums, click on the 4Player podcast thread, and then there should be a thread for the upcoming episode, which will be 299. You can leave your viewer questions there, and we'll read them on the show and answer them. We usually do about 2 or 3 on the show. So our first viewer question this week comes from Max from Cork, Ireland. Kings and Presidents in chat. He says, why do you think superhero games are usually terrible? Batman Arkham series is, I think, pretty much the only good superhero game out there. Superman games have always been abysmal. Even Batman wasn't invincible from gaming crap with the likes of Rise of Sin-Tzu and Batman Begins, which was average at best. The list can go on for superhero gaming travesties. Why do you think that is?
So I think a lot of it stems from a lot of them are movie tie-ins, and movie tie-in games are generally always shitty.
Yes, I think until developers can separate those two, like I think Rocksteady took a really big risk or a really big chance trying to create a new Batman IP. I want to say because the Arkham series is
it's pretty self-contained.
It's self-contained IP, but they nailed it, and they had a lot of creative freedom. I think it also depends. I think until the studios behind the characters like Marvel and DC need to be throwing their backing behind these projects entirely.
It's just licensed games.
Yeah.
The problem. Not. I mean,
You can't just say, yes, you can make a Superman game. Go ahead and do
Infamous is like a superhero game, but it's...
And it's a good superhero game.
Yeah, but it's not like this licensed... It's not tied to a license. It's not tied to the release of a movie.
And so that's the thing. So, you have Marvel and DC. So you have Warner Brothers and Disney. So you have these big giant companies that are like...
Money.
Money. That's all I want. You have a year and a half to make this game. Go. These are your deadlines. If it's not done by then, tough shit. We're going to release it anyway, kind of deal. Yeah. Whereas these smaller studios or studios that don't have to answer to the huge, overlord that whatever, they can spend their time like, look, this is not good yet. We need to make this good.
It's always a case of too many cooks in the kitchen in that situation. Now, I think design-wise, I think what Batman did really successfully that maybe a lot of other superhero games haven't done is they spent the time to iron out the mechanics, to actually get the moment-to-moment basis when you're playing that game, you feel like Batman. This is why. This is what you're doing. You're looking for clues. You're stalking in the night. You have all these different gadgets that you can use for takedowns. And they focused on that and got that system down really well. And then they start opening up the playground in which you can use it. Mm-hmm. If you give people too much freedom and the system isn't tight enough, then the experience is going to fail.
Exactly.
If you give them a really good feel, but then you don't give them enough room to move around, it's also going to fail. I think it's about striking that balance.
Which I think is the challenge, is why Superman hasn't had a good game.
Well, I mean,
I wish Arkham City stayed a Metroidvania. I mean, I wish the Arkham game stayed Metroidvania in structure, though.
You didn't like that it was open, or...
I just didn't...
Well, it was still Metroidvania. It was Arkham City was Metroidvania.
It was all... Metroidvania is very much described as you're getting new...
items,
like skills or gadgets or whatever that are getting you to parts of the world that you weren't able to get to.
A lot of the backtracking.
Arkham City didn't.
A lot of backtracking in Arkham City was pretty much purely story based. Like when you go back to the steel mill, you're not using new gadgets or new techniques to get in there. It's more like, oh, you got to go back to the steel mill to look for something. We're just not going to let you go through the same way you went last time.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, Superman, one of the things is, Batman, you have your detective mechanics and you have all this stuff. Superman, it's so hard to do because he's invincible. Right. Flying is really difficult for a person. It's easy to make a jet fly and make it feel good. Or, make, a car
Well, I mean, not
fly.
necessarily. If you look at that Superman Returns game, the only good redeeming thing about that game was maybe the flying mechanic.
That was still jank.
It wasn't as good. I mean, that's a hard thing to do and make it feel right, though. You know what I'm saying? Superman could just jolt off that way, or jolt off that way, or that way, in any direction. That's hard to do in a 3D world.
I think Superman is kind of a unique problem, though, because he is so powerful. Yeah. And so much of what makes that character interesting can't really be represented in gameplay. It's more story stuff. It's more character issues. It's like, oh, am I Clark Kent or am I Superman? Am I human? I'm adopted. Maybe stuff that doesn't make a Telltale kind of game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like a Walking Dead Superman.
The problem is,
who I would trust to make a mechanically sound Superman game, only because of the scope of the way they. The way they work with mechanics.
Can I guess?
I feel like they can get the right level of.
Can I guess?
What?
Avalanche?
No. Whoa. That might work. But see, that might work.
Who are you gonna say?
I was gonna say Platinum Games because they're so mechanically sound. Yeah. Like in terms of. They have a vision for what they want a character to do, and it might be a lot crazier than it is in other games, but they stay with that vision and they pull it off mechanically. It's crazy.
I think it would
the characters in those games do things that don't seem possible in the other games we play.
And a big challenge with that character specifically also would be setting and like you were saying, like the enemies.
Yeah.
If you have him just
it's
flying around Metropolis,
I have the Superman mod for Just Cause 2, and it's awesome.
I mean, if you have him just flying around Metropolis fighting up burglars, he's going to seem like a god. That's not going to be interesting. No, and yet, if you put him in a situation where he's only fighting super powerful aliens that can kill him, or like maybe giant kryptonite robots the whole game, that's also going to seem stupid. Yeah. You're not going to feel like you're being Superman.
I don't know. I just feel like there's. I just feel like there hasn't been enough attempts I feel like somebody could come up with an idea that would work.
But that's one character.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's
one.
There's plenty of other, like X-Men. We haven't really seen any good like X-Men games.
I mean, a good X-Men game or like another good Spider-Man game, which we haven't seen in a very long time.
You know what? Give Superman to David Jaffe. Let him have a go at it, because like he makes like very mechanically sound, well, I mean, like God of War is one thing, but Twisted Metal is another thing where like the attention to detail in gameplay is like kind of unheard of. Honestly, it's. I think that, but see, he's off doing. He has this small studio startup thing, but you give him the right budget and some people, and I could see, him pulling that off.
Okay, good question. That question's actually been asked in the past, and I don't think we answered it in quite as much detail as this time. So good answers. Next question comes from Kelvin.
Also, Hulk Ultimate Destruction was cool.
That is true. Yeah. Kelvin from Vancouver. I don't know if that's supposed to be Kelvin or Kevin. British Columbia.
Kelvin's a temperature.
Kelvin's a name too.
Yeah.
Kelvin.
Okay. Kelvin from Vancouver.
It was Calvin.
Wing 2K12 in the forums says, thinking back to how some critics were bashing Nintendo for designing the Wii U to support only one gamepad, which they've since changed. I have been wondering if the same criticism would be levied against Microsoft or Sony if they decide to go with one controller per console for their next system. With the exception of sports games, most games on the Xbox and PS3 have multiplayer as an online component only. In that case, there should not be a big demand for a console that supports more than one controller, in my opinion at least. It should make console design simpler. What do you guys think? Would this be a bad thing? What would this do for the design and pricing of the consoles?
I think that would be horrible. There are plenty of good games that multiple people can play on one console.
They're not going to do that anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They make a shit ton of money on controller sales.
That was his argument.
That's the biggest argument right there, I think.
That was one of his arguments, but I think that's a dumb idea because if he hasn't played any, he is missing out on a shit ton of good games that multiple people can play together. But yeah, selling multiple controllers will earn them a lot of revenue because they're so overpriced, and that's one reason they're never gonna.
If that ever happens, like if that trend ever comes up, I think it's still way down the road, and there's still a lot of advances that have to be made in the
to make up for that
in the components and just the design philosophy of how these companies make these consoles. Like maybe if the console itself was more portable, like you could just pick it up and take it anywhere. You didn't have to worry about cables or anything. It was smaller. You have these options to kind of network your consoles together easier. And you don't need...
Where it's like, instead of having controllers, you just have...
Right.
You have one box, but you have your own system that connects to it or something.
Right.
I think the biggest distinction to make here is that the Wii U was never a one-game controller system. It was a one-tablet controller system. It's always relied on the Wii remote controllers. So
with 4, so technically 5
yeah,
people
in a sense, it's
at
actually a
once.
5-controller system. And they since upped the tablet support to 2.
So now 6 people, so...
Oh, they did?
Which you can tell,
Yeah.
which you can tell they're going to milk the shit out of that.
The thing is, they're not going to design games around that.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
No. But yes, that is true. They're not going to design mini games. They're going to take advantage of that. So yeah, I think the consensus here is that no, it's not going to happen.
It would be a bad idea, but I don't think it's something we have to worry about.
That's true. PS3 still supports 7-player local co-op.
For which games?
Well, I don't think there's many games that support it. But the system
you could
does.
if someone would make a game.
The fucking Johann Sebastian Schaus,
Oh,
which the Sports Friends Kickstarter met its goal. A lot of people were worried
So
that
they're
it
going to
wouldn't.
actually make that an actual...
PSN game. It was Johann Sebastian Schaus, Hokra, which was a game I played at E3, which was really cool, and a couple others. I forget.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Our last question this week comes from Colin from New York, hard member in chat. I didn't read that the first time when I wrote that down. Hey guys, great show. Quick question. I picked up a copy of Red Dead and turned off the HUD, didn't use fast travel, and only wore headphones to try to totally immerse myself in that world. The experience was amazing, and I can't imagine playing it any other way. What other games do you think benefit from this type of treatment? P.S. Where the hell is Soul Reaver 3? Let's answer that part last.
Soul Reaver 3 came
Or
out
first. Or first.
Soul Reaver 3 came out.
Yeah, what's it called?
It was the one. It was Soul Reaver. It was the
Defiance.
Defiance. Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty much Soul Reaver 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's the new next gen Soul Reaver? That's what I want to know.
No one cares about Soul Reaver.
Dragon's Dogma. It's a really good game.
No.
without the HUD.
Fucking
Yeah, that's probably a good one.
Darksiders 2. That's the closest
Darksiders
thing
2.
you got to Soul Reaver these days.
Okay, well, let's move on to the real question, which was
Sure.
games you turn out that you give this treatment to.
Dragon's Dogma is good.
Dragon's Dogma is a good one. Far Cry
Very
2 and 3,
immersive.
I've done that with both of them, and it's phenomenal.
Of course, you can't turn off the HUD in Far Cry 3.
Yeah, you can't turn off the
Except
HUD,
with
which is
with a
unfortunate.
mod. You can do it
yeah.
with a mod.
But I would
Like,
say at the very least, turn off the
games
music.
like Skyrim, like
Right.
any kind of like first person or open world game that has a lot to do with the environment. If you can turn off the HUD, I would recommend doing
And
it.
that's GTA.
Dishonored. Fucking getting rid of that health bar that's
Oh,
constantly
that-
on like the whole half the screen.
That's a game where that's not so much an immersion kind of thing. That's like a straight up gameplay.
That's
decision.
that's taking the distraction out of
Yeah.
the
That's how you up the difficulty.
You
on
already know where
yourself.
nearest crazy. Mike's the craziest when it comes to HUD.
Oh yeah.
Any game he has the option to turn it all off.
Like
he
Hitman.
will. Like Hitman, where you can't see anything but Dragon's Dogma. HUD off.
He
we
said
were just
that one.
talking
He
about
just
that.
said that.
You were talking about Soul Reaver.
We were talking about it.
No, but Mike, did you talk about how Mike?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Played
He
it
turned
with-
off the entire HUD,
No, but
God,
including his health
for that game especially because you can't see the
or your
health
stamina.
of
The
your
stamina is
allies.
really important.
Of your
yeah,
allies
ally health
is
too.
crazy.
God, there was one I was just going to mention, and you fuckers made me forget. I don't know what it is.
I usually like a lot of really good feedback though, as far as I'll turn off the HUD when it doesn't really matter that much, but I don't think HUD kills immersion. At
It depends
all,
on
How
really.
how
about
the HUD
Skyward
is
Sword? Get rid of
implemented.
that fucking Wii controller on the side of the screen.
You can do that. You can turn that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Turn that. That's a game
No.
where you should turn off the HUD for a different reason.
I don't think it ever kills immersion. If a game is immersive, it's going to be immersive no matter what the HUD is. I think it can be like ugly, like tacky.
Yeah, that's what
it
I'm
could
saying.
affect the visuals of a game, but I don't think it affects the.
I think
immersion.
I honestly think the audio treatment is more important as far as immersion goes. Turning off anything that distracts you audio wise will go a hell of a long way in immersing you in that world.
People say that Dead Space is more immersive because of its UI. It has nothing to do with the UI. It has to do with like the sound design, the visual design. If anything, that UI is distracting. It pulls you out a little more because it's so different than it is in other games. You can't ignore it as much as you can in other games.
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
Well, like the seamlessness, the fact that you're still in the world and you're not pulled out to a separate menu, that helps. But the fact that like the shit's on his back versus the corner of the screen,
I like
At first, I thought it was...
No, it's fine to like that. It's cool design, but I don't think that actually makes it more immersive.
Oh
It's just,
yeah, okay.
At first, I thought it did,
other things.
but when you start thinking about like the logic of it, like his health
It
meter
pulls
is
you
on
out.
his back, is he gonna go like, "Oh shit, I'm dying"? Like turning around, looking at his back, like I couldn't even see my full.
He has a rear view mirror.
He's just like, "Fuck."
That's awesome. So thank you everybody for submitting your questions. Like I said, if you want to submit questions for us to answer on next week's podcast, please leave them in the podcast 299 forum thread over at 4playernetwork.com. We really love to hear from you. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show with the 4-player minute.
I'll go first.
Brad's going to go first.
What's the 4-player minute, bro?
We're going to say our hype, shame, sweat, and fuck you for the week.
Cool.
Okay. My hype is for the Crimson Shrouds, Matsuno's new game. It comes out in 2 days. I will be playing it.
Sweet.
And I'll talk about it on the next show. Yasumi Matsuno, creating Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yep.
Wait, that's not the right one. My sweat is I somehow acquired a copy of Guild Wars 2.
Oh no. You just stumbled, you tripped one day and you fell on it.
Kind of, actually.
I fell right inside Guild Wars 2.
Kind of.
It was a trip and it fell into your CD drive.
Tripped over a code and I copied and pasted into the thing and downloaded it. But I'm a little worried there. But I think I'm going to be able to control myself. I'm just going to explore a little bit, swim underwater caves and whatnot. But we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
I guess my shameful secret is well, I guess it's not really a shameful secret. It's more that I don't like I don't know. these online games that I'm super hyped about, I'm a little worried that I'm not going to have as much time to play them as I like. Like I keep telling myself I'm going to go back to Chivalry and I'm going to go back to PlanetSide 2, but I still got to find the time to do that. And
It'll probably be a little easier once we get past the new year, right? I mean, because right now you're playing stuff for.
It's never gonna be okay.
It's never gonna get better.
Like I had really satisfying experiences with those games, but I wouldn't say I made like any sort of progress. As you could say in like a single player game. So
Yeah, that's true.
it's weird.
Yeah.
But I think I'll go back to them. But if I don't, I guess that's my shameful secret. And my fuck you goes to Nintendo for making. I don't know why, but the 3DS doesn't like my router. How do I fix that? How do I get around that?
My 3DS.
Yeah.
Shit.
Manually type in the IPs and stuff like that? Can you do that?
I don't know.
I'll look at it after the show real quick. Because that was the problem with our Wii. We could not get, and apparently a lot of people had the Wii U, could not connect it to the router. You had to go in and manually do your IP, your subnet mask, your gateway, and 2 domains.
When I was playing Theater Rhythm, and I was downloading songs, DLC, I had to drive to McDonald's, like in the middle of the night. Like parking my car out in their parking lot using the free Nintendo Wi-Fi.
Nice.
Just to download a couple of songs. It was infuriating.
Wow. That's awful.
Dedication.
Bumming for Wi-Fi.
Jesus. All right. Thanks, Brad.
Brad's bumming for Wi-Fi.
Nolan, you care to go?
Yeah. So my hype is fucking Dragon's Dogma. Dude, I've been thinking nothing about it for the past like 24 hours, just constantly on my mind, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to level up this stat, and I can't wait to fight that Dragon. I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill the Generation 145. That is my goal.
You're going to deliver the killing blow?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill
By yourself?
It's going to be you.
We'll see.
There's stuff in that in the post game that's like just as annoying, like just as hard as any fucking dragon you fight. It's crazy.
Uh-huh. I'm working on that.
Have you've started going down into the
the Everfall?
Everfall?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've started killing stuff down there. Yeah. My sweat. I'll get to that in a second. My shame is I didn't defeat the Dragon before it was this powerful. Because I'm so scared. Like I dropped this game, and when I did, the Dragon was only like 20th generation. So much easier than it is now. And I just stopped playing it because I had other stuff. And
Did that hard mode patch ever come out over here?
I'm not sure.
I think it's out now, isn't it?
My fuck you goes to those assholes playing Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer like dicks.
Jackasses.
Ruining my jackasses.
I still haven't
Ruining
completed
my
Save It
experience for
Again.
me. Yeah. And then my sweat, my list of games for this year is still growing. Like right now, my list consists of Twisted Metal, Azura's Wrath, Binary Domain, Fez, Max Payne 3, Quantum Conundrum, Unfinished Swan,
Oh, shit.
and now PlanetSide 2.
I forgot about Quantum Conundrum, and it was free on PSN, and I never downloaded it.
Street Fighter Arcade Edition, Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, that's the final version, is free on PlayStation Plus.
So my list is still growing, and I only have like a little over a week to play all these games.
Well, you're not going to play all of
Well, I
them.
know it's not going to happen, and so then I have to decide what do I give my time to. I already have Binary Domain. I bought it, but do I play that even though I want to play this other game more?
No, you play the games you want to play more.
We're getting all Sophie's choice
Binary
over
Domain
here.
isn't
Just pick
super long,
something.
but it's good.
That's the thing. Like it's good, but I kind of want to play Zero's Wrath.
It's not going to be in your top 10.
What, Azura's Wrath?
Yeah.
How do you know?
You don't know.
It might
How
be.
do
A lot
you
of people
know?
seem to
I'm
really
just
like
saying,
it.
I just don't think it will be.
Did you play it?
No.
I played a demo.
Yeah, so you can't make any judgment. What if it has an
I
amazing
hear the story is what's cool about it.
What if it's my story of the decade?
Okay, that might be a little hyperbole.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going
What if it's
it
better
is?
than Godfather Part 2?
because I didn't give it a chance, and that's what I'm worried about.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm worried that I have to make this Sophie's choice.
Chris, I think on that note, it's your turn.
Okay. My hype is for Metal Gear Rising. Every time I see something about this game, it looks cooler. And I don't remember where I saw it or what trailer it was in, but I just, like, today saw something that had, like, some of the more lighter side of the game. Like, there was a scene with Raiden wearing a Mexican poncho and sombrero, and he said something... I don't remember, but it was really funny. And then there's the stuff where he's, jumping off of walls and skipping across missiles and like just dicing up missiles in bullet time. And
I'm a fan of him running up the side of the subway tunnel as the train's going through it. He's running along the side.
Yeah. And
cool.
like, the shit where he like grabs a sword with his foot and like kills 20 dudes with it. And he's sword fighting with Metal Gear Ray, which is a giant fucking robot. And it doesn't even have swords.
Have any of y'all played the demo?
No, I haven't.
It's a demo from E3, right?
No.
What?
It's completely new.
Well, it's sitting on my
I haven't
shelf at
played
home.
it yet.
I'll play it.
Why haven't you played that yet? You get a really cool boss fight versus that sort of that like panther gear thing or whatever with the chainsaw tail. It's cool.
Yeah. So yes, really, really, really excited for that. And all this Metal Gear Solid 5 stuff is only kind of
Fueling that?
adding to that, heightening that sense of excitement. My shame is that I still didn't finish The Walking Dead.
But you came close, though.
I got through 4 episodes. I haven't started 5 yet. There was some technical issues and other things going on today. I was going to finish.
He kept saying he was going to play through it.
Probably not. He's probably playing blobs.
So yeah, I don't know if and when you guys are going to talk about that, but I'll probably
We'll do it at the end of the year.
I mean, it's not. I tried.
I'm sure it'll come up.
You need to finish it before next week.
I'll finish it tonight.
Okay, do that.
Okay.
So you can consider it for the end of the year if you need to.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, oh my god, a lot of crazy things have happened. I really have to see how it plays out. And apparently, from what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, my game is going in a pretty different direction from your guys's.
At least on the surface.
Well, it might end pretty much the same, but it's probably going to...
We'll see. We'll talk about it.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. My sweat is going to be for, like what Nolan was saying, the AC3 multiplayer. It really sucks when players take a game that you really take a game that you really love and then they break it. And it's not even one of those things where like I can be particularly mad at somebody. Any game that's out there that people are playing, someone's going to figure out how to break it. That's just the way some people are.
And it's not just that they're breaking it for their own advantage. They're breaking it and that's hindering
They're breaking it for everybody.
Yeah.
Because once that's out there, I mean, I've gone through this before with other games too. I mean, it's really annoying. But at the same time, I mean, it is a game. People are going to look for advantages any way they can.
Yeah.
It just sucks that there isn't more in the actual programming of the game that kind of prevents this kind of thing from happening. And I mean, really, the best thing we can hope for now is that Ubisoft is going to release some kind of patch or some kind of something to help alleviate this or nerf this really annoying strategy that's going around. So we'll see.
What are you cracking up about?
I just realized I was looking at these little Resident Evil posters over there, and you could see like the transition of like the retardation. Like look at Resident Evil. It's the two characters and a zombie dog.
Yeah.
And then Resident Evil 2, it's two characters and a zombie dude wearing a trench coat.
Yeah.
And then Resident Evil 3 is like two dudes, and then Nemesis. I mean, I guess kind of guy like the guy from the previous one, but he's all like buffer and grosser, and he's got weapons and stuff. Then you get to Code Veronica, and what the fuck is that thing? And then Zero, it's like some sort of frogman.
It's a
zombie.
monkey. It's a monkey
Zombie. And it's like, man, like if they just had the rest of them,
it's the monkey from IKEA.
Even stupider. It's just the whole transition. It's just funny to see him all like that. Oh, I thought you were finished. I'm sorry.
No, he's not. He's still
Brad.
Fuck you.
You can say fuck you to Brad now.
Right there.
Yeah, fuck you, Brad. No.
I do it all the time.
No. You know what? I'm going to spare Brad for my fuck you this week. And I'm going to give it to Xbox and the way they handle their fucking digital rights management and all that shit. Oh, that was one of the main reasons why I had such a hard time getting through Walking Dead today, is because I haven't transferred all the licenses over to my console. I didn't realize you could only do that like 3 times a year, so I didn't transfer everything I needed to make it to where I didn't have to be connected to Xbox Live in order to play the game. And now I can't go back and do that until April 11th.
That's a long way.
Yeah, and my internet has been just really spotty lately, and I get kicked out of Xbox Live every 10 minutes. So I'm constantly having to stop my game, reconnect, and sometimes
open your net, bro.
Yeah.
Huh?
Gotta open your net.
I guess.
Have that conversation off the show because that's technical.
Okay, yeah, I'm not technomancer or anything. I'm not super smart about all that stuff. But it was really bumming me out earlier, and I just wanted to get that out.
All right.
Kris is bumming on Xbox Live.
Thank you.
My hype this week goes to the fucking Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah, next
that
episode.
trailer looks awesome.
It
I am
does.
fucking excited for Man of Steel, the film. I'm sorry, not the game, the film.
Oh, my sweat is the Hobbit.
Good one. I don't know. If you haven't watched the trailer yet for Man of Steel, go do it. It looks fucking crazy.
Brad's hype should be that he's gonna buy slaves.
What?
What?
When you were playing Far Cry 3 on the feed.
Uh-oh.
He was playing Far Cry 3 on the feed, and he was talking about what's that movie? Django Unchained.
Yeah.
And then he started talking, and he was like, he tried to say, "Should we buy tickets?" But he said, "Should we buy slaves?" To Malia.
It was a slip.
Freudian slip.
That has nothing to do with Freud.
Shut up.
Fruit.
My shame is Dragon's Dogma. I am less than a week away from having to decide my top 10 list for the year, and I'm afraid that Dragon's Dogma just ain't gonna make it this year. I'm very ashamed.
It's gonna miss the boat.
It's gonna miss the boat. Maybe next year I can consider
See,
it for
and
my
you're
best
mad
game
about
of the year that I haven't.
You're mad about me not finishing Walking Dead, and you haven't even touched that game.
I'm a hypocrite. It's all right. My sweat is Dead Space 3. Again, it comes out in February, and it's coming up, and I want to be excited for it. I love Dead Space. It's one of my favorite new horror IPs of this generation. And I don't know, nothing they've
What
really
about
shown.
DMC, bro?
Nothing they've shown so far has impressed me about Dead Space 3 yet. I am very excited about DMC.
Are you still as excited after playing this latest
Yes,
demo?
I'm very excited. I just feel
He's
like
played the demo like 5 times.
I've done that.
Dante must die.
I've done that too many times in my 4-player minute, so I just had to change it up a bit. And fuck tigers. Enough said. Fuck tigers.
Fuck
Yeah.
bears.
Yeah, bears are really hard to.
Fuck Komodo dragons.
Have you fought
Jesus
bears?
Christ.
Have you fought
Sharks.
bears? Bears take so much damage.
Yes. I hit a bear with a car yesterday.
Nice.
Hurt my
Shit.
car.
Oh, I meant to
Sharks
say
are
that. Like,
fucking ninjas
like
in that
fucking
game.
hunting with vehicles.
Yes.
Oh,
So
God, it's
fun,
fun.
dude.
Feel like a redneck.
Is it really hunting when you're just running things over with a jeep? I mean, that's like fishing with a stick of dynamite. It's not really fishing.
But it does happen.
I mean, it
Wait,
gets
can you
things
fish with
done.
explosives like sharks?
not-
Legally, no.
No, he's talking about it in real life.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh my god! But that's a
No.
good idea. We should just start throwing packs of C4 in the ocean,
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
right.
But you know what bothers me about that? When they die, they don't float to the surface.
Right? They just sink.
Are you still?
I think they would sink though. It has to do with the
Wouldn't they
buoyancy.
float?
No,
I
All right,
have,
we are
I have
not
a question
talking
for
about
Nicholas.
I don't think so.
Ask it.
Are you still more excited
I
about?
don't know about science.
DMC the Bioshock Infinite?
Yeah.
After
Your answer
Backed into a
can't be
corner.
yes.
Don't answer that question.
after listening to that podcast today, they're tied.
Dead
How's that?
shark sink.
All right. Thank you, everybody,
We
for
could always go
listening.
kill a
It
shark
came up.
before.
Do dead shark float or sink? It's-
Wow, that's weird. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been episode 298 of 4-Player Podcast. You can join us next week on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. for 299. Find the site. It's 4playernetwork.com. Please join us. Sign up for a free account. We'd love
Well,
to
I
have
have to
you
read
guys
this real quick
on the
before
community.
we leave.
Nolan's going to take us out with some facts about
So
sharks.
this was actually posted 3 years ago, so nothing
Okay.
to do with this. I know this is a little weird, but if a shark is shot and dies, will it float? The answer: well, no. Sharks have to keep swimming to stay afloat since they have no swim bladder. Some sharks have very oily liver to keep them buoyant, but I don't know how buoyant it would keep them if they weren't also moving. So they have a swim bladder that most fish have a bladder that fills up and out when they're swimming to help them go up and down, but sharks don't. So no, they would sink.
They would.
Yeah.
On the authority of that shark.
He's a marine
scientist.
biologist.
Oh, is he? On the internet.
Yes.
Perfidy, I say.
I'm a
no,
doc-
I don't believe it.
I'm a doctor.
I think we need to do some independent studies on this.
Okay.
Let's go get some guns and find some sharks. And
Chris, I'm a doctor.
Of
On the
what?
on the internet. All right. So thanks again, everybody, for listening. You can find us again next week on Tuesday. We'll see you then.